Good evening. It's Thursday, April 23rd, 2026. I'm going to call the session of the Ridgefield City Council to order. Would you please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Mayor Pro Tem Chipman?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Miss Julie, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Davis.
Present.
Councilmember Favela. Here. Councilmember Wells.
Here.
Councilmember Burkle. Councilmember Hamilton.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Chipman.
Here.
Mayor Cole.
Present. Thank you very much. Council, I'd accept the motion to excuse Councilor Burkle from tonight's meeting.
So moved.
All right. It's been
I'll
moved.
second.
Moved by Davis, seconded by Chipman. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Stewart, any late changes to the agenda tonight?
Yes, Mayor, we have one late change that is under business, Roman numeral 6, item number 2, the motion to approve the Sanderling Park Phase 4 final plat. And we're moving that from the agenda, bring it back to you at next meeting.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. We will strike that from the agenda tonight. Okay. We have a couple of proclamations tonight, so we're gonna read these and then have our there's several individuals here to receive those. The first one is lights out for birds, for bird migration. The proclamation is on the screen. It says, whereas Ridgefield is on the Pacific Flyway, which brings millions of birds into our airspace during spring and fall migration seasons, during peak migration, April 15th through May 19th, and September 19th through October 19th, as many as 5 million birds travel over our area and may stop to rest at the Ridgefield National Wildlife Refuge in a single night. And whereas many birds begin their flight just 30 to 40 minutes after sunset using the moon and stars as guides. As birds pass over bright lit cities, sky glow can disorient them and lure them into urban areas where they become disoriented and confused, collide with buildings, or fly around in circles until they collapse from exhaustion. And whereas lights out programs help reduce the impact of light pollution on birds, mammals, fish, reptiles, plants, and humans, they also save energy and money, reduce our carbon emissions, safeguard our own human health, and preserve our view of the night sky. And whereas the city of Ridgefield has adopted policies directed at protecting migrating birds, preserving the nighttime environment, and minimizing light pollution while permitting reasonable amounts of lighting for the nighttime safety, utility, enjoyment. Now, therefore, I, Matt Cole, Mayor of the City of Ridgefield, do hereby proclaim the spring and fall migration season as Lights Out Ridgefield and encourage residents and businesses to join a community-wide Lights Out effort by extinguishing unnecessary exterior lighting every night during the migration and getting outside to view the night sky, dated this 23rd day of April 2026, signed by me, Mayor of Ridgefield. And for that, we have Ms. Jean Stemp here tonight from Friends of the National Wildlife Refuge. Please come forward and we'll receive this. There you go. Congratulations. Thank you. Yeah. I'll come down. We'll do a quick photo. Yeah. You guys stay. Do you guys want to stand up?
Oh, okay.
Sorry. I didn't mean to. I just don't want you guys to have to do the back and forth.
Here, we'll squeeze in.
Thank you. And the floor is yours.
Here, I'll do it here. Right. My name is Jean Stemp. I am Vice President with Friends of the Ridgefield National Wildlife Refuge, and I want to thank everyone I want to thank you for declaring lights out for birds migration in the city of Ridgefield. The Friends and the Refuge appreciate the city's recognition of the millions of birds that fly over our heads every night during both the spring and fall migrations. We're thankful that the city has already implemented various initiatives to support bird life, including enacting dark sky ordinances. We encourage residents and business owners to reduce sky glow, especially during these critical migration times. One simple action to take is turning off unnecessary exterior lights after 11 p.m. Dark skies are healthy for people as well as birds, and this simple action can support wildlife while potentially enhancing the overall well-being of our community. Thank you so much again for the recognition.
Thank you again. Okay, we have a second proclamation this evening. This one is to proclaim Mental Health Awareness Month. The proclamation reads, "Mental health challenges affect millions of Americans every day, impacting their ability to work, maintain relationships, and enjoy life. According to recent studies, approximately 1 in 5 Americans experience mental health issues annually. Understanding these challenges is important for those directly affected and for building compassionate communities equipped to provide proper support. And whereas mental health awareness has grown significantly in recent years, yet the prevalence of conditions like depression and anxiety disorders continue to rise. And whereas Mental Health Awareness Month is observed each year to promote education and raise public awareness about mental health conditions, encourage open conversation about mental illness in workplaces, schools, and communities, improve early intervention and access to treatment, and reduce stigma around mental health conditions. And whereas the 2026 theme for Mental Health Awareness Month, More Good Days Together, emphasizes the importance of mental wellness for all individuals, it encourages us to all reflect on what a good day looks like for both ourselves and for our communities. Together, we can use that insight to develop more effective systems and connect people to the right support at the right time. And with that now, therefore, I, Matt Cole, Mayor of the City of Ridgefield, Washington, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2026 as Mental Health Awareness Month, and encourage all residents to educate yourself and others about mental health conditions, help ensure that mental health support is accessible and stigma-free, and in a world where feeling overwhelming or uncertain, remember to focus on creating your own good days, dated this 23rd day of April 2026. And for that, we have, is it Captain?
Nope.
Oh,
I'm Sam Lewis.
okay, just Sam Lewis from CCFR. Good to see you, sir. And we'll present this to you. Thank you very much. Yes. And council, if you please join me in the front for this one.
Mayor, City Council members, thank you so much for the proclamation. Mental health, I'm Sam Lewis. I'm the program manager with our CARES program, so on behalf of CARES and Clark College Fire Rescue, we appreciate it. Our team is, we have a team here today, which is our behavioral health crisis team. So it's our paramedic Seth and Aiden, our mental health professional. They actually go on 988 calls, 911 calls, and calls from the crisis hotline on behavioral health calls throughout the day and through the night. So on behalf of them, we know the importance of really having mental health awareness and being, dropping the stigma of it, lowering the stigma, and having folks receive help from all over kind of the behavioral health spectrum. And anything that we can do to help support that and support the community within that, we appreciate it, and just call for help. Thank you.
Thank you again. We appreciate you being a resource. Okay, we're going to go into public comment. As we do, I do realize that there are a few people here today to give public comment, and if you have never given public comment here before, we definitely enjoy getting input from our community, so we are glad you're here. I just want to stress that there is no back and forth between the council, and so the fact that we can't respond is not because we don't want to, it's just because we're here to listen and not necessarily interact. So anyone wishing to address City Council regarding items not subject to a specific public hearing may come forward at this time. to the podium or use the raise hand feature located at the toolbar at the bottom of your Zoom screen. For controls over the phone, press star 9 for raise hand and press star 6 to mute or unmute. Please state your name and limit your comments to 3 minutes. And again, tonight, because I think we have quite a few people, we're going to enforce a strict 3-minute rule for public comment. So with that, I would like to open the floor to public comment. Is there anybody wishing to go first? Mr. Bomar, good to see you, sir.
I'll try to set a good example, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council, city staff, and members of the public. First, I want to thank you for your work in making this city the best place in the world to live and raise our kids and find true community. I'm here tonight on behalf of the Ridgefield Main Street Organizational Committee, and I want just a quick raise of hands for our board members and committee members that are here, so big shout out for their work. To give you an update on what we talked about since I last spoke to you in February about a tax credit incentive program, and with a request to the city for your supplemental budgeting process. As a reminder, through the state program, cities can pledge supporting funds to a Main Street program and receive a credit on their state utility tax liability for 75% of that contribution. Our request is for the city to match the pledges we've received so far, which includes pledges from 23 businesses that total over $70,000. That would bring back $52,500 of tax dollars that the city is currently sending away to the state. The reason we're bringing this to you tonight is because as of April, the remaining credits have gone into a statewide pool that will only be available while they last. Last year, all of the credits were snagged by the end of the third quarter, keeping much needed funds from bringing tax dollars home. Over the past 4 months, the board has worked hard to inform businesses about this opportunity, and over 160 businesses were contacted, first by email, then phone, and in person for targeted businesses. We held several meetings with first-time pledge business owners and CFOs to help them better understand the process. And in addition to the mailers, we did broad outreach through the Ridgefield magazine, email campaigns, social media, and flyers. Pledges came in from a variety of business types, from large construction and healthcare companies to small food carts, including Dick Hanna, Vancouver Clinic, Tapani Inc., Netter Corp., CRDC, Riverview Bank, Stellar J Corp., American Underwriting Insurance, Ridgefield Physical Therapy, Windy Hills Winery, Waste Connections, Nest Restaurant, Integrity Bookkeeping, Northwest Access, Ridgefield Raptors, go Raptors, Wig Studio, Shirt Space, who's here tonight, Mall Foster, Space Solutions, P&W Public Affairs, Lava Java, Ridgefield Landscape, and the Neighborhood Refuge, who actually held a rally for us as well, too. So thanks to the Neighborhood Refuge. RMS has prepared additional details about our outreach effort, along with responses to other questions that were asked in February of Main Street that we'll be sharing with council and staff after this meeting. Thanks for considering our request and for helping us keep tax dollars local by participating and spreading the word about this great tool. 25 seconds, I'm done.
Thank you.
Hello. My name is Travis Goodwin. I'm a District 3 resident and a business owner. I'm someone who's deeply invested in the future of this community. I want to start by acknowledging something important. You're the final line of accountability to the upcoming project at the port. I was asked to come speak tonight regarding the port project. You guys have the approval to approve something or not approve something. Tonight, I'm asking you to use authority carefully, because what is in front of you is not just another project, it's a long-term decision that will impact this community for decades. Right now, there's too many unanswered questions. The Port of Ridgefield is asking for support and alignment, but has not provided the level of transparency or financial clarity that this council and this community deserves. You've seen roughly $2 million tied to the Greeley Building project, and nothing has been done. Where's the clear, measurable return to the public? Where's the detailed reporting demonstrating that this was the best use of funds and that future projects will be handled differently? We've also seen discretionary spending like approximately $20,000 for meals. That's $76 a day. Again, this isn't about one item, it's about what it signals. It signals a need for stronger oversight. And that brings me to the core issue. Trust without verification is not good governance. You as council members should not be put in a position where you're expected to approve major decisions without independent validation of how the public resources are being managed. So I'm asking you to do two things before moving forward. First, require a full independent financial review of major port expenditures, not an internal summary, a third-party review that the public can see and trust. Second, require clear ROI metrics, public reporting for any project seeking approval. If a project cannot demonstrate value to the community, it should not move forward. Third, pause approval of this project until those standards are met. This is not obstruction, this is the responsible leadership. Now, I also want to address something broader. Many of the decisions being made today will shape the Ridgefield my children and many of your constituents' children will inherit. And right now, there's a growing concern in this community that those long-term impacts are not being fully considered. We need leadership that reflects not just the experience, but current active investments in the future of the city. People raising families here, people building businesses here, people who live here with the consequences of these decisions that some of you won't even be alive to see happen. Because the perspective matters. It's not consistently showing up in the outcomes we're seeing. It's not about being anti-growth. I support smart, strategic growth, but growth without accountability is not progress, it's risk. And its risk is ultimately falls on the taxpayers and the residents of this community. So tonight, I'm asking you to step in your role, not as a rubber stamp, but as a safeguard, as the hard questions demand real answers. And if those answers aren't there, don't approve the project, because once these decisions are made, they're hard to undo. And finally, I want to share that I'll be running for position 3, because I believe this community deserves leadership, accountability, and transparency aligned with the people it serves. But tonight, it's not about my campaign, it's about your decision, and the opportunity to have you right now to ensure the right one. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Goodman. Is there anybody else wishing to give public comment this evening? You can come forward at this time.
Mayor, council, city, fellow citizens. I'm Marilee Aisley. I'm one of the founding members of the Ridgefield Art Gallery, and I'm here to give you a quick update. We opened in January, and the public has been very, very supportive of us. We're very grateful. We're busy painting in your behalf. We're busy trying to learn how to run a business, because that's not necessarily the artist's strong point, but we're doing well. Our best month, we made $5,800. Our worst month, we've made over $2,800. So people are showing up for us. I especially want to thank the Port of Ridgefield, the City of Ridgefield. Without you two and all the work you've put into supporting the Ridgefield Art Association and the Ridgefield Art Gallery, we would not be in a position to, get this, we will soon be able to offer classes to the public. So thank you, Port, thank you, City, and thank you all citizens who are coming in. And remember, the Ridgefield Art Gallery, every piece of art in there is made by a member of your Ridgefield Art Association. It is local. And our Meet the Artists and our receptions are tied to the first Saturday of the month, 5 to 7 p.m. So come in, have a little glass of wine, and enjoy the art. First Saturdays, 5 to 7 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate the update. Is there anybody else here wishing to give public comment?
I got it. Tim Shaw. I mostly just will reflect.
Sorry, can you say your name one more time? I apologize.
Tim Shaw.
Jim Shaw, thank you.
Been a resident for a while. Painted half of Ridgefield. I want to back the gentleman that was just up. A lot of his comments fit what I want to say. Not sure where to start this, but it's all the plan that was offered to us or shown to us by the port is totally unacceptable. It's not anywhere near anything good. And I just think we need to at least step in and slow it down, see what we can do. The roads are not even, they're not acceptable now. They don't hold the traffic now. If you build anything down there, it will not hold the traffic. And that's kind of pretty much just where we need to go. We just need to slow that down. There's too much build down there. Everybody wants an open space. Everybody wants a nice place. And there's plenty other space out here for everything. That's about all I got.
Thank you, sir.
I wanted to write it all down, so I'm going to have to wing it. Matt Haggerty, been a Ridgefield resident for about 21 years, and I know Lee pretty good, but it's about the meeting the other night that the port put on. It was, some of the main comments were sadness about the new port development. In 2024, we were all given 3 choices, and there were, I think, 1,300 respondents. This port project looks nothing like what was even proposed to us. It has residential, a 5-story hotel, and sadness was, I think, one of the key things that I walked away with. You know, people who walk down there, I walk down there at least 3 to 4 times a week along that path, and to think that there's going to be 4 large apartment complexes and a hotel down there, let alone the boat ramp will probably end up going away. But there's been apparently no attention paid to the traffic that backs up from that boat ramp all the way into downtown Ridgefield. And then, anyway, so I think that to mirror the gentleman's comment about transparency, this was the first that anyone knew about this level of project, and it was in a day and a half of a Facebook post. There were 42 people in this room. And one of the gals there said something very interesting. She said, probably for every one person in this room, there's at least 10 that mirror the same opinion. And I imagine after this meeting, there's probably going to be 20 people for every one person in that room. It is a horrific addition to a city that just had a special occasion for lights out for bird migration. I mean, there's going to be 4 apartment complexes, you know, right next to the Ridgefield Wildlife Refuge. All those white geese and white storks, they're not going to be there anymore. And not only going into that, but, you know, with the contaminated soil, there's probably 8 or 9 different chemicals in the soil that only has a 2-foot cap on it. You're only going to be able to do slab on grade. You cannot put pillars in the soil. And I did not confirm this myself, but I was told that Scott's son is the primary project manager for the company, the ecology company doing the soil samples. If that doesn't represent a little bit of impropriety, I don't know what does. But they waited until the very last minute. This thing was 6 weeks, from what they said. They have already got a bid from the developer and 6 weeks away from signing this. So you guys are the one that can do something, like you said. If you can't stop it, slow it down, because this is not at all what any of the Ridgefield residents want.
Thank you, Mr. Haggerty.
Okay, so just start, right? Okay.
Yes.
So I'm going to start my timer so then I can see. So my name is Shauna Fisher. I am a Ridgefield resident, obviously, right? So I wouldn't be here. And the reason why, I'm going to try not to cry because it's really like, wow. So I moved to Ridgefield because of the wildlife refuge, right? Like, and because of the downtown, right? The quaintness of the downtown, all the cool businesses, the community, kind of like Mayberry, right? Just the sense of community down there. And my concern is I love that path. I walk it with my dogs. I walk it with a walking group that I'm in, and it's so beautiful and peaceful. And with all the growth, we need that time to reconnect in that nature, and to have a hotel down there, and then an apartment complex right up against the refuge. I mean, like this gentleman said, we have talking about lights out Ridgefield and the birds, and oh yeah, let's just put all this growth there and all the air pollution, the noise pollution, the light pollution. I don't think that's good for that environment down there, and just think there could be better ways that they could, you know, the port could do it. Like if you look at the port of Kalama, I'm sure you guys have seen that. It's beautiful what they've done with that, that Kalama market that they have there, right? And all the local artisan stuff they have in there, and the walk and the pathway. It's still beautiful, yet, you know, it's grown up a little bit. So I think that would be nice if they looked at that here to just preserve that downtown and not just overbuild and overgrow, because I think that comes with more problems and more issues. And gotta protect the birds and the wildlife down there, because it's so important. And I've noticed too, you know, since with In and Out, that's created more garbage, right? So, and then also too, the trail behind Legacy Trails, you know, that trail that goes behind KinderCare, there's more garbage now, and a trash can that is like overflowing, and there's garbage everywhere. So I just worry about, you know, all of that with doing too much growth down there in a beautiful area. So there you go. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher.
Hello, my name is Robin Knight. I'm also a Ridgefield City resident. I did not prepare my comments, so this is just off the cuff, but I also am very concerned about the growth proposal for down at the waterfront, and I share many of the concerns that have been expressed. I moved here in 2020 for work and thought that I had just landed in this perfect little jewel of a small town that was right off of I-5, so I could get everywhere easily, but it was also felt like a rural sort of farm town. I mean, granted, we were in the midst of COVID most of that year, so people were staying home, but it still just felt so quiet and peaceful and perfect to me, and the wildlife refuge was one of those perfect, quiet, peaceful places. And with the proposed project, bringing a hotel, apartments, restaurants, more businesses down there in that quiet, peaceful, perfect area, it's going to completely change it forever. I mean, we might as well remove the osprey cam because those ospreys aren't going to be nesting there anymore. This gentleman here said, sadness is a very, perfect word for the way I feel, and I think many of us feel about that proposed project ruining a place that is so near and dear to our hearts. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Knight.
Good evening. My name is Peggy Quall, and I've been a resident of Ridgefield since '97. So first of all, I'd like to say how grateful I always was for the time and money that the port spent on cleaning up that Superfund site. I've been looking forward to seeing what careful plan they would put down there. So what's come out is just so disappointing. I also remember going way back, there was a core group of Ridgefield citizens who saved the refuge for all of us. They spent years raising funds, and it's now the jewel in the crown of Ridgefield. And it's such a unique and beautiful site, including the port property. The whole community worked hard for that. And I just have to say, those people had such vision. They really saw into the future. And that's what I'm expecting of the port. What they put now is going to be there for a long time, and it should be carefully thought out for a vision down the road that a lot of us won't even be around to see. The port waterfront should be an extension of, in a sense, of the refuge. It should reflect the value and the beauty of that. And I'd like to see, I know there are plans for some community spaces, but that should be one of the primary things, that it should be a place where people can still come and be on the waterfront, enjoy the nature, the refuge being the primary concern and the focus of that property. About 10 years ago, I was on a stakeholder committee for what was going to go on down there. It was about the time they finished the cleanup, somewhere in there. And they had a plan at that time, and it seemed considerably more careful than what they're proposing now. And it just seems like apartment buildings are inappropriate when you consider, I don't know how many units they're going to put, but statistically, each household represents like 8 trips a day. And multiply that by however many units, and that's a lot of people going in and out, not only on the roads, but just how disruptive that is to a fragile ecological system like the National Wildlife Refuge. I mean, this is a really special place. So again, I would hope that the port property would really give more thought to it and consider, okay, my time's up. Anyway, anyway, just respect for the refuge, dark skies. We've always been promised dark skies. I don't see how we're going to have dark skies with big parking lots.
Thank you, ma'am.
So, thank you.
Hi, my name is Jamie Kaiser, and I know all of you are on this board and take your time because you want to do something great for Ridgefield. And now's your time. So this is something that your name's going to be stamped on. Whether you think it is or not, people are going to wonder who made these decisions. And the port needs to stop. I say reverse, because in that survey from 2024, the majority of the people said, no, we want nature, we want walking spaces. We want things that are not apartment buildings. In the 2024 Reflector article, I think it's close to 200 apartment units and a 58-room hotel. They also had, at that point in time, 8 spots for van camping and other things. And I don't think the new site reflects that, but the new site does not reflect what the community said that they wanted. And so think about what you are leaving, your legacy. Think what you're leaving for your children. Like everybody has said, when this is done, it is done. There's no going back. I think you need to stop, because Palindrome that they've chosen has had some questionable things happen in the past. If you go to their Albuquerque lawsuits, have they worked with a site like this? You know, there's going to have to be mitigation because of the toxins that are under the soil. Have they ever dealt with anything like that before? I don't think they have. They haven't even done a traffic study. So how can they propose all of this growth without even knowing how it's going to impact traffic and safety? As we know, that 2-lane ramp road to get down there barely can handle the boat traffic. And if you're looking at pushing out the boat traffic, we'll now add all those hundreds of people that are going to be coming and going. That can't handle that. If there's an emergency, there's really no place to go. So I think you need to do your job and put this on pause, back it up, and there needs to be transparency. I know I've done a public records request. I want to see what the land lease looks like. Somebody brought up, you know, that's a lot of stuff. That's so Palindrome can make money, because it's a land lease. So how much money are they looking to make? How much are you leasing this land for if they need to have this many buildings and this much stuff that they're making money on? And then my question to the port was, and I've asked them and I'm waiting for a response, is what are you asking for this? And why is that something you should be asking? Because the port can't make money. The money has to be vested back into the community and pay for salaries. So why would you be allowing somebody to do a land lease where it's going to be, for them, enough profit to make it work, and it looks like it would be lots and lots of money. So I think you need to listen to the community. We are just, I understand a small snippet of the whole population of Ridgefield, but again, this is your legacy. This is what you're leaving for your children and your children's children, and you really need to think about what you're doing. And I think there's no harm. This whole port revamp and redesign and rebuild has been going on for many, many years. So you have the time to do it. There is no rush. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kaiser. Yes, come on up.
Hi, Kaylin Cook. Just taking a quick look around. I'm probably one of the youngest people here. So speaking on behalf of your children and your children's children, this is extremely disappointing, and I know the word sadness has been used quite a bit. I'm going to use rage. This is enraging. I pay a lot in tax dollars. I know you guys pay a lot in tax dollars. It's not acceptable. I grew up here, and to see that this is going on, we have Vancouver waterfront right down the road. We have Kalama right down the road. Why do we need to be like them? You take pride in having the refuge. It's posted on the freeway. You drive into Ridgefield, the roundabout, it's right there. And I'm sorry, but I'm looking at your faces and it seems kind of blank. Like you guys don't get it. There's emotion here. And we just talked about mental health and the lights out. Nature is a huge part of mental health. My generation, my siblings' generation, I know my kids are gonna struggle with it. We need the nature aspect. We don't need more buildings.
Amen.
Going off of the infrastructure, not only is the roads not big enough, I almost hit a kid on an electric bike outside of the golf cart zone because he wanted to cut in between me and a semi around the roundabouts. What do you think is going to happen down here because we don't have the roads? Do you know how terrifying it is for a 24-year-old woman to see this kid on a dirt bike riding around with just a bike helmet? easily going 40 around the roundabouts. I could have killed him, and I would have lived with that. Do that at the waterfront, you're going to see it a lot more. We're already not doing anything about the infrastructure or the electric bikes. What's going to happen when you add more people, when you add no infrastructure to support that? It's just not healthy for our community. The money isn't going to go back to the community because we haven't seen any money coming back. So please take that into consideration. Do your job and vote no. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cook.
My name's Ruben Greer. I moved to Ridgefield about 5 years ago with my wife of 20 years and 3 kids. Fell in love with the area, originally from Spokane. So when I rented a house sight unseen in 2021, came into town, saw the Rosars, a little bit of home for us. So I know there's probably mixed feelings on that. But we fell in love with this area. I've been looking at in places like Camas and around. We fell in love with Ridgefield, the quaint one little red blinking light downtown, the coffee shop and the little theater there, the wildlife refuge. We're members. We buy the annual pass. We live for that. Going down to the waterfront now, the waterfront, not the little sliver. The whole thing. We've been doing that. And so when we saw this plan on a Facebook page, my wife saw it. She said, you need to go to those meetings. And that's how passionate and upset she was to send me here to do this, which I've never done. So a little background for me. I currently work as a corporate environmental manager for an inland marine company that's grown into here in Vancouver. Before that, I was 15 years as an environmental project manager, working on national and EPA Superfund remediation sites, as well as creosote and pole treating sites as well. So I've got some experience in this. I wasn't fully aware and still not fully up to speed with the environmental remediation that's happened. But before I get into that, I wanted to read something. I read this at a meeting a little bit ago. This is from the Port of Vancouver master plan for the waterfront. And this was part of their engagement work to see what the community was and what they wanted to promote. This engagement work led to 3 guiding principles: respect and enhance the natural setting, support recreation, and reflect Ridgefield culture, art, and history. Now, I assume you all have seen the plan, and hopefully you can muse about where you see those guiding principles in this design. My time is running out. I had a lot more to say. There's issues of traffic. If we have increased traffic, Pioneer can't handle it. So the option is either to widen the street or get rid of the parking. I mean, security, the bird refuge, lights out. How are we going to handle all of that? So just would appreciate some really consideration. We've been here for 5 years. We know the heartbeat of this community. You guys must as well. And you know probably in your heart, this is not what we want and what we need. So appreciate the time.
Thank you, Mr. Greer.
Hi, my name is Morgan Rumble. Like many of the people here, after Tuesday, I was devastated. Haven't really slept well since then. It's pretty, not only because of the plan, but also how the public's responses were met with a level of smugness that was infuriating and upsetting. I'm going to share something, a direct quote I heard from a port employee who still works there about a year when we were talking about the waterfront plan in here. I came because I was concerned about what any development there would do to the refuge. So I came, and to my great relief, before I was really more involved, tons of people were out here talking about how important the refuge was and that should be the priority at the waterfront. The port employees were here listening, yes, smiling, nodding, all that. I say to this port employee the next day, wow, that was really great to see how many people came out for the birds and the nature. And they said to me, what people don't understand is that it used to be really polluted down there and the animals adapted, and they'll adapt again. Now, I understand that what somebody says in a moment in time might not be, you can't, that's why I don't need to out them or anything. But based on the plan that has come out, based on the responses of the port employees and commissioners who were responding to us, I think that shows the culture of the place is not about the refuge, is not about the wildlife, is not about Ridgefield. A hotel, none of that does anything for the citizens of Ridgefield. That's for other people. This is our little corner, and you know what? There doesn't have to be a compromise. We don't have to build down there. We don't. We can make that decision, and I don't care I don't care economic reasons. We are at a critical point. And a Guardian article yesterday said that half of U.S. children are living with high amounts of air pollution. How is building and paving over freaking paradise helping our climate goals in the city, our children's quality of life? I see everybody down there, from people, older people, mobility, disabled people with their walkers down there, kids riding their bikes, kids throwing. It's accessible and it's free, and there's hardly any spaces like that anymore. And I'm tired of people, I grew up here, and I'm tired of people telling me that it's not a big deal if I can't afford to live here anymore, if I can't afford to be here anymore and do things in my community. This is our third space, and we need to protect it at any rate.
Is there anybody else wishing to give public comment? Come on up.
My name is Lisa Callum, and I'm short.
Can you say your name one more time?
Lisa Callum,
Thank you.
and I've lived here since '93, and the refuge has always been a refuge to me and a very special place. I work for Oregon Public Broadcasting, and I know that Field Guide has done many stories at the refuge, and I would hate for them to have to come and do a story on development being done that will be next door to the refuge. Also, I'd like to raise your hands for everybody who's opposed here. So maybe to every one of those people, there's a few more that care about the refuge and care about the hometown feel that Ridgefield has and has always had. And I'm proud of what you guys have done. I mean, it's, I understand that development has to happen. I understand progress is unstoppable, but maybe we can make some choices that wouldn't impact the wildlife and the way of life here as much. Maybe local businesses. I have heard that the developer is a genius, actually. I heard that they not only will do leasing of the lands, but they'll own the LLCs that will be put there, and so they'll make money off of the money, and they'll make money off of the leases. So, so if there's something that can benefit the public, or not public, well, Ridgefield public, that would be great, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much.
My name is Patrick Carlson. I've lived in Ridgefield, at least in the area, since 1978. Whoop, this is falling apart. And I don't have, most of the people who have been before me here have said much what I was going to say. I just want to make one more thing add one more thing, that there's research around that you folks can do comparatively in the state. These are called brownfields, and there's small ones and there's little ones all throughout the state. And the one that comes to my mind right now, and it took me just a few minutes, I just researched it a few minutes, so I don't have all the details, but there's a large one in the Wenatchee area. And I believe their alternative there wasn't, people aren't living there permanently, and they don't have hotels. They have some kind of like an outdoor market. And that's about all I know about it. But please research the alternatives, because they are throughout the state. And there's people at the Department of Ecology. I haven't heard them mentioned at all tonight, but there's people up there that may have been involved in some of these, and they can help you with that. They're amiable people, they're good people, and they're very helpful. And that's about all I have to say right now. But the transportation, getting in and out of here, the present proposal at the port is a development, and you've got a lot of development on the I-5 end out there, needless to say, and you got little old Ridgefield in between. And you got people coming and going all the time. And last fall, I was basically caught in a traffic jam right out here on Pioneer. I was coming out of the launch with my boat, and there was a school over here, and the buses were coming out. The parents were lined up to pick up their kids on Pioneer. I don't know how far back, and it was completely stopped. That's a safety issue. If you've got to get emergency people in and out of there, how in the world are they going to do it? And that's all I have to say, and thank you very much. Please do your research. It's available.
Thank you, Mr. Carlson. Come on up.
Hello, I'm Crystal Hollyfield. Born and raised in the area. I've seen a lot of changes. Not one to come to these meetings or chat about things, but this is something dear to my heart. And I took a couple years and lived in other cities, large cities, the Big Apple. And, you know, even New York has Central Park. We have the refuge, but what do we have for the people? What do we have for the dogs? What do we have for the kids? When talking about mental health, it's a place you can go and breathe. If you're stressed or if you're sad, you can feel safe. You know, we really need to have a space to stretch our arms. Richfield is building neighborhoods that are so tight, you can only park on one side. Or Main Street in front of Sportsman, we have motorcycles that are in parking spots with the tires sticking out. So we have to take turns passing by. The police station's only a block away. Is there not parking tickets? We're not taking care of things properly until we can take care of A, B, and C, such as crime that's coming to our neighborhoods. We know we've said, yes, Costco's coming, that's great. We've had A, but I think this one, we have to let it go and just leave it as is, or compromise and have parks, because right now, we have water issues. I can't water my lawn during the summer, and I live in the Northwest. There's a reason we live in the Northwest. We're surrounded by water. So we need a place where the kids, like you said, can ride the bikes. And I know this is about money. At some point, we can get money elsewhere. There's plenty of more land on the east side of Ridgefield. Let's save the west side. We have the birds, but we need someone for the humans and the dogs and the kids. So one spot, Battleground has Battleground Lake, it has Louisville, Kalama has the waterfront. We need our space. Thank you.
My name's Rick Grins. I'm a lifelong resident of Southwest Washington, 70 years. I've been using the boat launch since July of 1966. It's the same two-lane launch, the same size parking lot, the paved area as what we had back then. And you can imagine the population growth and congestion that we experienced. This last Saturday, the April 18th, the overpass was backed up from the boat launch all the way to the top, and I'm not sure how far into town, but I know it held on for quite a while. It started at 6, and I read that it lasted three hours. Now, I find that hard to believe, but we don't even have a waterfront development down there at the waterfront yet, and I guarantee you, you will not stop motorized access to Lake River, no matter how hard the port resists to expand and improve our boat launch. Those vehicles will come up out of the boat launch, and they will come into town, and they will find places to park. And I don't care if you pass ordinances, make it tough to make single vehicle parking spaces with your painting. Those boaters will find businesses and individual residences to get permission from, to unhook their boat trailers and park them in their yard or wherever they have to. But these people want to get out on the river. The Columbia River is special for our area. And that's what makes Ridgefield special, is the Columbia River and the Ridgefield National Wildlife Refuge, and we have it all right there. And to not provide access because of an inadequate facility like our boat launch is really shortchanging the public. And you don't have to be a Ridgefield resident to experience it and enjoy it. I've been talking to you folks, I've been talking to the port, and you have a decision to make. And the deadline, it was supposed to be must occur according to the port for this development agreement to be finalized so that they can start the construction down there at the waterfront October 1st of 2027. At the meeting the other night, I asked the question, if we extend out this development agreement decision beyond June 1st, it can be done. But then I asked, can the construction date, October 1st of 27, be extended? And they said no. The port said no. They plan on starting construction October 1st of 27. So what I'm saying is, before I'm keeping my fingers crossed here, that the six councilors and the mayor do your homework, know what you're finalizing, because it's going to impact all the citizens here in Ridgefield and the people that come here from Southwest Washington to enjoy the water that we have down there leading out to the Columbia River. It's a major decision that you have, and I consider it probably one of the most important decisions that you will ever make on this city council.
Thank you, Mr. Grenz. Is there anybody else wishing to give public comment in the room?
Okay, I'm completely pushed out of my comfort zone. So I'm gonna pretend all of you are not here. Sorry. But I attended the meeting on Tuesday with the board.
Can you please start with your name?
Oh, I'm
for
so
the record?
sorry. My name is Sasha Brodowski. I'm a resident of Ridgefield for 7 years now. Love the town. Not gonna list all the reasons why. You guys all know it. I attended the meeting on Tuesday with the board, and extremely upset, beyond imaginable. You start approaching Ridgefield, there's a sign, sorry, National Wildlife Refuge. We all seen the birds on our new overpass screens. You start heading down to downtown, 2 miles to our historic downtown. You take the S-curves, you see the downtown, you see the waterfront. This is the heart and the soul of this town. We've stood by throughout all these developments, and you promised that despite of all the developments, you will preserve the heart and the soul of this town. I'm here today to ask for your help, for your dignity, for your ethics, for your morals, to not ignore this matter. Please open your eyes. Please hear your residents. Open your hearts. This is our community. This is our families and yours. I cannot list all the problems with that development in a short 3 minutes. We were there for 2 hours. We didn't even scratch the surface of all the problems. I can't even say what is right about that development. Please advocate for your residents. This is what you were chosen to do. Please do so. Don't ignore it. Develop the process where residents can be heard, where all the problems can be addressed. It is your legacy. It's your families. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good evening, councilors. My name is Rob Akeley, live at 911 Main Street. So, I started going to the port meetings when they were holding the meetings in the red building down at the waterfront. And they've been talking about development down there ever since then. And back when there was only 5 counselors and you guys were in the community center down there, Lee Wells was down there, they talked about it there too. So it's something that's been talked about for a long time. I saw all the scuttlebutt on Facebook, and I thought I wanted to come to the meeting and just talk a little bit about it. And I went to all those meetings back then. Every 2 weeks they met. I know now they only meet once a month, but I went to all those meetings. That's only 32 acres right there. The waterfront or the refuge is like 5,200 acres, somewhere around there. We're talking about 32-acre spot there. There's still going to be a park in there. There's going to be an amphitheater in there. There's going to be a paved area for the kids to ride their bikes through. That's not going away. I've quite frequently walk from all the way down the refuge up to the brand new building they have up there at the visitor center, and then you can go across the footbridge and you can go down to the Plank House, and then that trail goes all the way around and dumps you out to the red pump house that's down there. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful walk. That's never going away. That's always going to be there for our families and our children to walk. And I'm a proponent. I'm in favor of the development down there. I think there's going to be a lot of fun things to do. I remember the developer talking about having view corridors in there, so it's not just a wall of buildings. It's not going to just block off the view. Yes, there's going to be view corridors for the residents that live back, that have that view. Some of them will be blocked. Growth is inevitable. I'm also have faith that the city and the Public Works Department will, as the city grows, it's going to grow no matter whether the waterfront gets developed or not. They're going to figure out how to deal with the traffic. Maybe they have to eliminate the parking on Pioneer going down. This has been talked about for years. That's something will have to be done eventually to get the traffic to flow a little better. Anyways, thank you for your time. It's good seeing you all.
Thank you, Mr. Akeley. Is there anybody else wishing to give public comment in the room?
Can we ask questions?
No, I'm unfortunately not. It's only public comment, and there cannot be any back and forth between the council. However, there will be opportunities to have discussion, and we do encourage you all, if you'd like to reach out to your port commissioners and to reach out to us directly, and we will be happy to respond.
I have one comment that I forgot, and I had a minute left, is what if they did like a...
I'm sorry, yeah, we did use your time, so we do have to keep going. Anybody else wishing to give public comment who has not spoken yet? Yes, come forward.
Hi, I'm Belle Matthew, and sorry, I'm gonna cry because we're one of the homes that is mostly affected by this. We're right up, when you're walking on the waterfront, you see the greenhouse with the copper gutters that we have spent a lot of time, energy, and love putting into. And after we bought that house, I was in a wheelchair like 2 weeks after for a year. And I sat out and I looked at that kitchen window day after day, looking over that refuge. And I challenge every single one of you to please go at night and just sit down there in your car and just listen. Just listen. Listen to the birds. Listen to nothing, except for maybe the conversation of somebody walking by, because let me tell you, sound carries from that waterfront like nothing I've ever heard. I can hear conversations of people that are walking by from my backyard. I can hear every car that drives down that waterfront and every 17-year-old kid that has nothing to do on a Saturday night and wants to go drive in their circles. We hear it all. I cannot imagine the amount of sound pollution. The noise pollution would destroy that waterfront, let alone the light pollution. And here we have our dark sky ordinance. There will be no dark sky. I challenge you to go sit in it for at least the last moments that you have. And you know, the speaker before, he's right. For years they have talked about this, but this has been the wool over our eyes. You know, these meetings take place in the middle of the afternoon, in the middle of the week, when we're working with parents going to pick up our kids conveniently cannot make it. So it sits silent, not that I haven't been to a few unheard. You know, this is something that is going to happen regardless, but we can do it. We can do it ethically, we can do it with integrity, and we can do it with the care and posterity for future generations. And I can tell you, if anyone has looked at this plan, it is not. Over 200 new residential units. Our dark sky is gone, and everything that we love about that waterfront. That's all.
Thank you.
Hi, Sarah Scott, 510 North Evans Road. Do you still have to say your address?
No.
Okay, got something new. Great. Thank you. I love Ridgefield. We all do. And thank you so much, because you guys are the reason I have to thank Ridgefield for being the way it is. Also, the port, okay? I would like to applaud Joe Melroy, Scott Hughes, and Bruce Wiseman, because these men have completed more community service in their lifetime than most of us can barely fathom. I mean, if it wasn't for the city and the port, we would not have the cleaned up, wonderful open space that we have down there. So thank you. I just really wanted to, you know, it's great. Thank you. I did hear some concerns the other night that I compassionately agree with. Corruption of nature and land, and detrimental to the refuge. The refuge is our draw, our gem. If you mess with it, if you mess with its buffer, then you mess with it. There's safety, many safety concerns, okay? Safety about that people's voices aren't being heard, that public surveys are being ignored. Some of the port's answers disturbed me. The answers were, we have to build something down there. I don't think that's great. I don't think in that area that actually the building is inevitable. Nothing will grow there. I don't think that's true. The old railroad crossing, that's padlocked, I was there today, can be used as an emergency access. I don't think so. And from this, asking who really benefits from this, there were no answers or numbers. Some public suggested that hotel and houses go on the other side of the freeway, near Costco, where the infrastructure already exists, and this is very important for affordable housing as well. Many people love the open space, the Raptor Cam. I'm hoping you all can understand how open space can be so valuable and versatile and good for the common good. Extra ball game space, event space. My neighbors will be directly affected by this, and so will wildlife, so I stand by them. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Scott.
Hi there.
Hi.
My name is Neil McDougall. I moved here in September of 2025 with my wife, who has been a Ridgefield resident since she was a kid. I'm from a large city. Moving to a place like this has been nothing short of a breath of fresh air. Mayor Cole, I met you briefly at the refuse collection day the other week, and I was amazed when my friend who I was with told me that you were the city mayor. You don't really get that kind of community city touch point where I'm from, so I was really appreciative of that. I want to share a really quick anecdote with you on my first time here. Sure, sorry guys. Can you hear me now? There, sorry. I want to share a quick anecdote with you on my first time here back in summer of 2022. I met my wife. We flew over here for a visit to Sarah, who just spoke there, who's my mother-in-law. After getting over the jet lag, seeing a few of the sights, going to Vancouver downtown, the waterfront, doing various things, one sunny day, my wife asked me if I'd like to go and do something fun. She loaded up the truck with a two-person kayak. Lo and behold, she drove me down to the waterfront, which only took 2 minutes from my house. We had a beautiful day cruising down the river, met the Columbia, stopped off at a small beach area where the rivers join, and I swear on my life, I saw a bald eagle. You need to understand just how cool that is, you know, from a city boy from Glasgow, Scotland, you know, that type of thing. It was like something out of a movie for me. This place is magical. The refuge is magical, and it was the moment that I decided that I could probably put aside my old life and live here. So I've been really impressed with the passion that I've heard tonight, to the point where I was actually encouraged to speak. I had no idea that I was going to speak until I was hearing people talk. So as a complete outsider, you probably know that you have it good, but trust me, you really don't know how good you have it here. And yeah, I fully encourage you to rethink the plans here. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir. Is there anybody else in the room wishing to give comment?
Can I have another minute?
I'm afraid not. We do have a second public comment period, but no, if you use your time, unfortunately, we have to. You've yielded it.
Can we use the second time or not, the second comment period?
Technically you can, yes. Yeah.
That's great.
You said there would be time for discussion. When would that be?
There's I don't have the dates in front of me, but there are several upcoming council coffee talks, and we can publish this again. Maybe I don't know if staff, if you have those, but we can get those published for you, and you know, we'd encourage you to come to those.
Please do.
Okay. Is there any other public comment? Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Tricia Hawkinstead, been a Ridgefield resident for over 10 years. Wasn't prepared to speak, but happy to do so after hearing so many brave and courageous comments. So thank you for those that have gone before me. I live right, my backyard faces Carty Lake, and it is a refuge for us. The decisions, like many have said before me, that you're about to make and have an impact on is a legacy that will impact generations. I think the refuge is what makes us unique. And as it is, a natural and open space is what the community strongly desires and wants to fiercely fight for. We do not have the infrastructure set up. That's already been mentioned. Pioneer Street cannot tolerate it. With increased people comes increased so many other, it's a ripple effect, right, of so many other challenges and issues that will negatively impact the wildlife refuge that we all here dearly love. And so I want to just fiercely advocate for that however I can. I was at the port meeting on Tuesday. I'm not a, like, I go to things that are really, really near and dear to my heart, and I've tried to participate and share my voice in whatever way was made possible through the different surveys, and I agree with before that I don't feel like any of our feedback from the community has been adequately heard and represented. I don't even know if the surveys, I don't know where to find the results of that. I just don't know where all that feedback has gone. And so I just really appreciate you listening, actively listening to us, hearing us out, making a equitable, important decision that will help our generations to come. And this very, very unique, fragile area that we have down there at the waterfront to protect our refuge. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in the room? Sure.
Hello. Okay. My name is Suki Borneval Key, and I grew up up in Ridgefield. I am a spudder. I have never attended a city council meeting. I will begin attending city council meetings, I promise. I never had attended a port meeting. I just attended my first port meeting, and I can't think of really much positivity that came out of that room, that discussion, other than the discussion around how badly we want to keep downtown Ridgefield, small town, downtown Ridgefield. That's why I moved my family here. I grew up here. I had the opportunity to buy a house, and I said, you know what? I can't live anywhere but downtown Ridgefield. That's so important to me. We have programs like Main Street Ridgefield that is supporting our small businesses. We have so much growth up Pioneer Street, and we're told that growth happens and it's inevitable, but we have one little tiny chunk, and it holds so much, so many memories for so many of us. It's a place that we can go. I can take my 4-year-old. He has his own binoculars. He can identify birds. We do that all day long, every single day. We're down there twice. We walk up that huge hill twice a day. I'm pushing him in a stroller still at 4 years old up that hill. Like, that is the one space we have. And we are being told over and over again that growth happens, growth happens, growth happens. I've seen it. It's all along every cow field, every farm. I've seen it. This is the one space we have. And we were told at that meeting that this was the first that they heard this level of opposition. This was the first meeting I could attend. They're all during the day when kids are napping, kids are at school, parents are working. And I think that at this point, we would love to see this slow down. We would love to see the community have a say. We had a say in our survey. We were given three concepts back in 2024, I believe. And it didn't look anything like what we saw Tuesday night or what was published very recently. So I'm urging you, I know so many of you grew up here, grew up here in Ridgefield and care about this small town. This is what, when I bring friends here and I say, hey, let's go walk the waterfront, they're like, you're so lucky to live here. How lucky are you? And I just think every day as I walk down there with my son, how lucky I am to have that opportunity to share with him small town Ridgefield. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Calvin Bryan. I just want to stand in support of the people here opposing this development. We've seen several proposals for the development down there, and frankly, every time it gets worse and worse, and our voices are not being heard as community members. One thing that I haven't heard anybody bring up is the fact that this is a floodplain. And another thing is that nobody's talking about the impact on the schools. And I just imagine this going as poorly as the splash pad.
Anybody else? Ms. Julie, is there anybody online who's wishing to give comment?
I do not see anyone online, Mayor.
Okay. With that, we are going to close public comment. I do want to thank everybody who came here, everybody who spoke. It's clear that you all care about your community, as we do all as well, and we look forward to future discussions as this issue progresses. But thank you very much for coming tonight, and thank you for sharing. Okay, with that, we are going to move on with our consent agenda. Council, I would accept a motion.
Motion to approve consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Davis, seconded by Favela. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Thank you, Council. Motion carries. And we have a presentation to start tonight. The presentation is on the Comprehensive Plan Amendments Update. This will be led by our Community Development Director, Claire Lust. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Good evening, Council, members of the public. First item on presentation item tonight is just going to be a short update on the ongoing work on the city's 20-year growth management plan, the comprehensive plan update. It's actually going to focus on some work that you, Mayor, have been tied in very closely to, as well as our mayor's counterparts in both La Center and Camas, on specifically a transfer of development rights program tying into the county's overall land use planning, which has been an ongoing project of the county and its cities. This is a program that presents a unique opportunity to preserve functional, valuable, commercially significant farmland throughout Clark County as part of the future land use planning scheme that the county and all of our jurisdictions have been working really hard on. As I mentioned, this is something that Mayor Cole has been very tied into, but for the benefit of the rest of our councilors and as well as the public here in this meeting, we just thought it was the right time to give a brief update on progress on this work. So with that, we have with us online David Toyer, consultant that is working with the cities of Ridgefield, La Center, and Camas on development of this program to give the updates. Mr. Toyer, I will hand it over to you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, hey, thank you, Claire. Appreciate it. David Toyer with Toyer Strategic Advisors. Our consulting firm was hired to help out with this program concept and really work to help you in making a presentation of how this could work in Clark County to your county commissioners. Wanted to give this brief update here at this point in time because there is a county meeting coming up next Monday and Tuesday on the comprehensive plan update. And so this was kind of a good opportunity to kind of preview some of the information that would be discussed with the county next week. As a part of your preferred alternative for your comprehensive plan, you have proposed the opportunity for your cities to integrate the use of development rights into your growth planning such that would help protect agricultural lands in rural areas in Clark County. It's really kind of an extension of a prior discussion that occurred about 10 plus years ago in Clark County, where transfer of development rights were identified as a unique opportunity to be able to protect existing farms and agricultural lands of long-term significance. And now you've got another opportunity here with this major update to your comprehensive plan and the county's major update to their plan to integrate a program like this. If you want to go to the next slide, please. So we started working on behalf of the cities back in March. And one of the things we first did was attended a joint meeting between the cities and the county council. That meeting was focused on transfer of development rights and some of the opportunities at how you would make a program like that work. Primarily, that would be through an interlocal agreement type arrangement. One of the things that the county will need to do in order for these transfer of development rights as an option to be considered is they would need to adopt some goals and policies as a part of their comprehensive plan update in order to be able to establish the framework for a program that would be created. And as you are probably aware, the county is a bit behind in their comprehensive plan update. And one of their concerns has been whether or not they have time to consider a transfer of development rights program. So what we did was present an outline of a 3-step process that the county could go through as a part of their comp plan update, and then extending past that, where they could adopt a transfer of development rights program that would work cooperatively with all 3 cities. And that would start first by adopting a policy framework to establish the policies for a transfer of development right program. The next piece of that would be to actually then work on the full creation of the program. And then the third stage would be the implementation of that. Since that meeting that we had with the county, we have had some additional meetings with county and city staffs to discuss what those countywide planning policies and comprehensive plan goals and policies could look like. We've prepared a technical memorandum on transfer of development rights that really looked at the program that be adopted in Clark County and compared that with other programs in counties and cities around the state of Washington that already have adopted similar policy frameworks for transfer of development rights. Probably the 2 closest in this particular case would be Kitsap County and Snohomish County. Although, as we noted in our memorandum, King County's got probably the most specific policies out of all of them, just as far as the level of detail that those policies go into. Ultimately, the goal of the technical memorandum was to not only do a survey of what other TDR programs look like and what kinds of policies that they have put in place, but to develop some recommendations for how Clark County could have a policy framework as a part of this comprehensive plan update. And we've made those recommendations initially last week to a group of county staff and city staff. And we will be making an additional presentation on that as a part of the county's hearing process Monday and Tuesday of next week. Key aspect of making a transfer of development rights program work is going to be an interlocal agreement that would be between the county and participating cities. And that is something that your community and the other 2 communities have been actively working on with the county and presenting them with some options for that as well. So just trying to give you a brief update on kind of what's happened here in the last couple of months, but be happy to answer questions that you may have about transfer of development rights or anything as far as what analysis that we've done and what we've presented to the county.
Great, thank you, Mr. Toyer. We do appreciate the update. Council, I would like to just turn it over to you all and to ask questions of staff or Mr. Toyer, or to provide any commentary at this point. I know that this is something that, as Ms. Les said, I've been pretty embedded with, but I want to make sure that you all have an opportunity to ask questions as well. So I'll look to you. Anybody here who might have any questions right now? We'll start with Councilor Davis.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's as much questions. I mean, I think we've been kept up to speed on, the concept of this, but I really appreciate the work that's gone into it and the fact that we've taken a leadership position in finding a creative solution that allows us to accommodate the growth we've been assigned, as well as protecting these critical natural environments. So I just wanted to be able to speak to that about really the work that staff's done, Mayor Cole's done, to really be a leader in seeing this through.
Great, thank you, Councilor. Councilor Favela.
Yeah, no questions, and thank you, Mr. Toyer, for being here. This process with the county council and the comp plan has not been the easiest, to say the least, and I do appreciate this really creative and strategic type of plan that can really help us with the vision of Ridgefield and protecting land and putting some parameters in place that hopefully county council can agree to do exactly that, to protect. So I really do appreciate that. Thank you.
Other comments or questions? Councilor Wells?
I also appreciate all the time and effort that you and the city manager have put in, and us. We put in a bunch of time too, trying to promote it. And I just hope that the county council will turn around and accept it, and we can make it part of the comprehensive plan. Thank you.
Great. Other questions or comments at this point? Okay, if there are none, I'll just add that I do appreciate Mr. Toyer, you coming on board with this, to Mr. Stewart, Ms. Lust, and the entire staff who've done countless hours of work on this. This is a big deal, and there's an important distinguishment here, I think, that we do need to make, and that's that I think that there's been a perception that somehow in this process, this compound process, that despite even comments you've heard tonight, that what we have all been about is like growth and expansion, and that's our only motive, and it's really not. It's really about accommodating the growth and that we know is coming here and making sure that we hit those targets. In fact, in 2016, we were given a density target of, I think, about 6 units per acre. We've hit since then nearly 8 units per acre. That's quite a bit of density, and that's important. That's an important distinction because the county council has tried to make the argument previously that we have not heeded the density targets and that we've had a lot of leftover density, and that's really important because while the tension we experience with the growth is real, it's also a necessary thing because the state will say, here's your allocation, you have to grow. And what we have sought to do every step of the way is not grow for growth's sake or just expand because we want sprawl. That's been quite the opposite. And the fact that a lot of the advocates who are pro agricultural land, we've had discussions with those. I personally have had many discussions with a lot of those people to assure them that we are not about necessarily snatch up all the farmland we can just to build more houses on it. Rather, we'd like to preserve farmland where it is characterized by agriculture and ag production. And I think that's a really, really important distinction. Once the ag land here is gone, it's gone forever. And so our motive, our effort has always been to preserve ag land where it makes the most sense. And so this is the TDR plan, the Transfer Development's proposal is, I think, a really innovative tool to do that because it allows us to keep agricultural land where it's necessary. This is a plan that has been endorsed by the county's planning commission as well as the agriculture commission. That's not for nothing. This is something that we have worked really closely with Councilor Matt Little of the county council on. This is something he's been big on, and as a big conservationist himself, he understands the value of preserving ag land as well. And what it really comes down to is, and the argument that we have tried to make is that we're at a crucial point. This is an opportune time. If we don't take action in a meaningful way now, then we may not have another opportunity to do that, where the development community, the building community, the agriculture community have all aligned to make a preservation here, and that's really kind of what we're going for. So to my fellow councilors, thank you for your support. Thank you for being in tune with us as we've gone along the way, and we really do look forward to next week and having a positive outcome here, because I think it really is one of those things where we want to tell, where if you are serious about preserving ag land, it's sort of a put your money where your mouth is thing, for lack of a better term, to say, hey, let's work together to find a rare opportunity to do what we need to do to make sure that the natural scenery, the agricultural scenery here in Clark County does not go away, but we preserve it in key strategic areas, and so that we can meet our growth targets that the state gives us while also preserving farmland. So again, thank you, staff. Thank you, Mr. Toyer, for that. If there's any other questions, I'd happy to allow council to ask those, but if not, we'll just, we can move on. Okay, thank you all again. We appreciate it. Okay, we have one item of business this evening. This is the first reading of ordinance number 1480, 2026 budget amendments. This is going to be led by Mr. Kirk Johnson, our finance director. So, Mr. Johnson, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council and Ridgefield residents. Julie, if we can jump to slide 4, we'll go ahead and jump right into the heart of the supplemental budget for 2026. Typically, as we get into the supplemental budget, we do have projects that we are starting in 2025 where we have to forecast out how much we're going to spend and how much of the project we're going to complete in that year. And for the supplemental budget, sometimes we do have to come back to council and ask to reallocate funding that was already set in 2025 because we didn't get as far as we thought we would in the project. So the first items are because of that. I'm just going to kind of go over each of those: splash pad, Pioneer widening construction, and a couple different related items, which included some electrical work, and then the mitigation that we did for Clark Callett's Fire Rescue to purchase property for their new West Side fire station. Let's jump to the next page. Next one was the Parks Revenue Program. That's something that we're still working towards, with getting revenues for both the Community and Recreation Center and then also Rourke and different parks programs, working on some studies there. Our ADA transition plan, finalizing that. We were hoping to be finished at the end of last year, but we did have some additional work, and that's finishing up here currently. And another study for the Pioneer and Hillhurst concept design. That was for two different sections, one at Carty Road and Hillhurst for a crossing and trail connection there. And then also down at the corner of Pioneer and 9th to review a concept for future traffic changes at that corner as well, related to the two properties that we have there. And then finally, the Onslow Nature Play Area, we were able to get the demolition portion done in 2025, but we need to move forward this year to finish out the construction of that park as well. So on the next page are new requests for 2026. City Attorney Professional Development and Supplies. As you're aware, we had a new position where we moved our contract attorney to a full-time staff position. At that time, we had not been able to itemize what the training costs and continued fees for keeping the licensing and things like that. So that would be $25,000 in new funding for this year to help with that. And then earlier this year, Council approved a TIF credit waiver, that's Transportation Impact Fee credit waiver for Cheeky Noodles for $18,100. And as Council was aware, to do that, the general fund does have to pay those fees into the TIF fund. Next one was a Public Works Ops Center energy plan for $20,000. This meets requirements at the state level for our operations center. Any building that's 20,000 square feet or more, we have to have an energy plan prior to, I believe it's 2028, to meet any of the statutes there that are with that. And then we'll have to move forward on any potential changes that we have to do for energy savings. And then professional services in the water fund. As they're continuing to look for new water rights and work on our water system, there were several different professional service projects that they would like to do this year to prepare for some of that in the future. So they're asking for a one-time increase in the water fund of $100,000 for a total budget of $125,000 in professional services so that they get those done this year. And finally, on the next slide, this is a project that was approved, I can't remember if it was last year or the year before, but it was for some downtown parking changes. And this one was to stripe 4th Street to make it a one-way street. That is estimated to be about $15,000. We already have a striping budget of $50,000, which has been set up for striping throughout the city. And that's adding a one-time amount of $15,000 to that budget for this year. And then finally, in our transportation benefit district, increasing the existing $5,000 budget by $10,000 for professional services, and that would add bridge inspections, which we are required to do, and we have to do 2 of them this year. So that would actually be added as an ongoing cost in that particular fund. And then also adding a new module that would look at our sidewalks, similar to what we do with our pavement preservation, where we can go out 10 years and plan what our pavement preservation program will be. This will add in a module that will do the same thing with sidewalks. And Council, you just talked about sidewalks here recently, and this will help with what we talked about at that time. And then as we get to the last page on this, it's a current project, but this is recognizing the private partner portion of the Ridgefield Community and Recreation Center. Our existing budget was the city's portion for the community center of 15 million, and this request would be adding in 22 million with 22 million of revenue that would come from the private partner in the partnership that we do have to build the community and recreation center. And also to add $1 million for the Kennedy Well Field and Treatment Design. That would be beginning this year as well. And then design for another project that's been a long-term project, but we have not been able to start on it because we're still working through some granting issues with the county. Sergeant to Main Improvement Design. Part of our requirement for a match on that is we have to do the design. So this would begin that part of that project to get that going. With that, the requests are for $26,393,100 with new revenue coming in at $22,082,000. Let me jump to slide 9. And that will just kind of show what types of requests they are. The ongoing requests are $35,000 with the remaining portion of that one-time requests for this year. Transfers from other funds will be just over 1.3 million, and 2.755 million will come out of the existing 2024 bond that we did for the Pioneer widening. That will pay for those projects for the mitigation and the Pioneer widening related projects. The fund balance impact, including the amount we already have in fund for the bond, is 4.3 million. And how that will break out, if I can jump to the next slide, will be $181,100 from our general fund, $275,000 from our transportation benefit district fund, the $2.755 million from the general capital fund, that's the bonds, $100,000 from the water operations, and $1 million from the water system development charges. The rest of it is coming in from new revenue. So with that, sorry to go through it so quickly, but I did want to just kind of give the top line of each of these, and most of these are carry forward of projects that you had already approved. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. We'll start with Councilor Hamilton, and we'll work our way right.
Thank you, Mayor. So just thinking of the overall projected revenue, if any of that gets delayed or reduced, can you just speak to our contingency plan on that?
So by delayed or reduced, could you add a little more clarification to that?
If the numbers don't pencil out to what we were predicting and that's down, does that affect?
So as far as the majority of the revenue is coming from our private partner, and that already is in the works for the funding through the loan that they're getting. So they do actually have more than what they need. We did have our bid opening yesterday. I can't go over the complete results, but we had 6 bids, 4 of them online, 2 in person. Very good bids, lower than the engineer's estimate. So actually they probably will not need this full amount, and we have all the confidence that they will be able to. Once the agreement is signed, everything's locked in.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Councilor Wells.
Can we go back to slide 8?
Yes.
Now I got my mic on. Okay. Oh, we're slide 8. Up there on top, the community center, recreation center, 2026 existing budget was 15 million. Now it has increased to 22.
Increased to 37. 22 million is the amount we're asking for to get to what the original engineer's estimate was.
Okay, I knew it was originally was supposed to be 37 total.
Correct.
But I thought we had allocated 15.
We have.
And now we're increasing it to 22?
So the 22 is the amount the private partner will be paying for the recreation center.
Oh,
the 15
that's
is
the
what
other
we're
partner.
paying for
Got
the
it.
community
Okay.
center.
Thank you. That answers my question.
Great.
Okay.
Mayor Pro Tem, any questions?
I really don't have any. No, thank you.
Councilor Favela.
No questions.
Councilor Davis.
Yeah, there we go. Yes, I just want to put it out there because it is a sensitive topic that made an appearance tonight. The splash pad line item, that is money that is coming from the developer's bond, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
For me, just looking at the, I just want to just confirm, I think I know the answer here, but the Sergeant Domain, the CDBG project, if that, so that doesn't have, that is grant contingent, right? Like that is something we need CDBG funds to finalize and go through before we do that. It's not something we're going to do either way, but the revenue would come from the CDBG program?
So that's a council decision. When they first approved this project, I believe 2 years ago, it was not listed as grant contingent at that time. The information that we've gotten from the county is there is that potential they could have some of their funding rolled back. So there is a possibility that we may lose that grant. We have not been told that. It's just a caution that they have given us that it could be pulled back from the feds.
Okay, okay. My understanding is that they had additional revenue that they were not going to be able to spend in this cycle. Is this related to that at all?
It is partly related to that. If they cannot spend the full amount that they had been allocated for this cycle, then they may lose money in the future, which we haven't even gotten into the point where they've done the environmental impact studies and things like that. So we're not even at the point of beginning the agreement on this particular project.
Okay. How much time do we have for that?
That's a good question. We have not been able to get that answer from the county.
Yeah.
They keep pushing this one back because they have so much in the pipeline. Part of this is not necessarily any, whether it's our or other agencies' fault or the county's fault. It's because there's a lot of slowdown at the federal level with shutdowns, with the permitting processes at the federal level. And because of that, and they have those timelines, they have not extended those timelines. You still have to use up that funding during that cycle, or you lose it, and then you potentially lose future funding as well.
Okay, great, thank you. Also, another question on the city attorney professional development line item there. Is that required training, or is that going to be, is that optional training?
That's required training.
It is, okay,
Yeah,
great.
CPE to keep her license and continue with the bar and things like that.
And okay, great. And the same thing for the Public Works Energy Plan, is that required?
That is a requirement by the state.
Yeah, it is by the
We
state,
could wait another year, but if we wait another year, we're really up against when the statute says we have to have this plan ready.
For sure. Okay, great. Okay, great. And then lastly, since nobody else mentioned it, I know that Main Street was here tonight with members of their board and their executive director, and they are talking about the tax credit program and our potential match on that. I guess this is more a question for my fellow counselors. Because this is first reading, is this something that council would be interested in having staff bring back for second reading and considering then?
Yes.
Everyone's pretty thumbs up on that, okay.
Yep.
And just to clarify, the amount that I heard that they mentioned was matching what their current existing donations have been. Is that where council wants us to go?
Yeah, I think that we've talked, I'm speaking for myself here and I'll look around, but I think we had talked about matching all along. That's been the intent.
I think to clarify, we should define what commitment is.
Yes, that was going to be my next thing is I still have a lot of questions for Main Street about some of the things that we have asked for along the way, as well as that commitment, like what has been pledged versus what's been received, and how do we track that? Because I don't want to match something that's figuratively and then somebody like half of that doesn't follow through and then.
So Mayor and Council, a couple of things with that. First of all, the Main Street Board and their staff representatives have indicated they have information to provide for council between first and second reading.
Sounds like it, yes.
That would include the amount that they've already gathered as part of the B&O tax credit program, and then answers to to the questions that you had asked earlier this year. So we'll make sure we provide you that. With that, we'll also get the exact dollar amount that they were looking at. We'll make sure that we bring that forward to you.
Okay, great. And I know that Mr. Bromar talked about that, and we're expecting that report. I guess along with that, I would love to make sure we have the opportunity between now and second reading or during second reading to answer any residual questions that are there as well, because I think that's probably going to be necessary.
We'll make sure we stay in communication with
Yeah.
staff to get you those answers.
Okay, great. Councilor Favela, did you have something?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to go back real quick to the professional development for the attorney. Do we offer this to other employees who have certifications that we pay for that, or is this specifically for the attorney?
No, for all staff that have a required certification to maintain their job, we do pay for that.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay. Other questions or comments? Go ahead, Councilor Davis.
I was just gonna say, from like a process standpoint, I think include the Main Street stuff, and then if it doesn't meet the bar, then we can strike it.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, as with any of these, I think my intent was to make sure that we had it come back. I'm interested in that, so we can deliberate it at the time and then decide if it's appropriate for us to go down that road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough, thanks.
Okay. Is there any other questions or comments? Thank you. I know that you did move quickly on it, but I think that we're pretty well apprised of most of this stuff, so I appreciate it, and we look forward to having another discussion in two weeks. Okay. So with that, this
Three
is
weeks. We have an extra week in.
at our next meeting. Yeah, we'll say it that way.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that, because it's first reading, Ms. Julie, would you please read the ordinance into the record?
Ordinance number 1480, ordinance of the City of Ridgefield, Washington, amending ordinance number 1469 and ordinance number 1477 pertaining to the 2026 budget.
Great, thank you. And lastly, once again, it is first reading only. Okay. Our second business item of the evening was removed, and will come back to us at our next meeting as well. So with that, we are going to go into our next public comment session. So if you have anybody wishing to address City Council regarding items not subject to a specific public hearing, may come forward at this time to the podium or use the raise hand feature located at the toolbar at the bottom of your Zoom screen. For controls over the phone, press star 9 for raise hand and press star 6 to mute or unmute. Please state your name and limit your comment to 3 minutes. Mr. Jennings, good to see you, sir.
My name is Michael Jennings. Thank you for your carefully logical management of Ridgefield. Here's an example of insufficient management. There is a credit union in Vancouver that is highly recommended, but the website lacks information in 8 particular ways. Something new. Kathy Dorio, it has been good to have you as chief of police. A suggestion, instead of retiring, you could retire. You could get, for your car, new tires. New topic, the spring cleanup was excellent for us. We delivered maybe 400 pounds of wood that had been damaged by water. It was excellent that we didn't have to do the work of unloading our car. And then the last thing, we paid $265 for Samsung Galaxy A36 cell phones. They're like computers. You can do a Google search while lying in bed. You can attach computers, keyboards and monitors. So it's amazing how technology is going forward very rapidly. Thank you.
So I didn't know we were going to speak on TDR tonight, but I got home and found that. Also, just to let you know, your doors lock outside, so people can't get back in.
Oh.
You might want to fix that, so people want to attend meetings. I literally had to hop over the fence to get in. So.
Oh, goodness, okay.
Yeah. So I know I only have a few minutes. If you'll let me speak a little bit on the TDR.
Yeah, you can. Could you please state your name for the record once again?
So I will. Good evening. My name is Travis Goodwin. I'm speaking against the TDR program as it stands today. I want to start with a simple question. How much did the consultant cost the taxpayers, and what's his representation of a farmer? As a person who is a farmer in this county, and as far as I manage about 10,000 acres across this country, I know what a big farmer is, and I know what a small farmer is. Who's going to decide who's a hobby farmer, who's a real farmer? The most money a farmer ever makes is when he sells his land. You're asking a farmer today to give up that right for future generations, right? You want to preserve land? You got land right here at the waterfront you can preserve. You got land all around this area that you can preserve. When you're picking and choosing which farmers and everything else and which crops, is it a lavender farmer? Is it an apple farmer? Is it a cattle farmer? Or now are we deciding which farmers are who and what? And I can tell you right now, it was approved by Sue Marshall, who owns a bunch of land here in Ridgefield, right? And she's got family that side. So who's going to say that now she's stepping down, that she's not going to get money from this, right? Who's going to decide these things? And I'm not saying that I'm against it, because any money that goes to help a farmer helps farming, right? But we want to support farmers, actively engage farmers. Don't go out and politically put something out there on the internet, everything else, and then hold a meeting. And when I look on your meeting thing, it doesn't say TDR, it doesn't say anything about this, right? This is the first I'm hearing of it. I know it's the first piece of it, but how you guys do things behind closed doors and how you decide what you want to do on everything else, it's not right. I had a whole speech written and everything else. I'm not even going to read that. You want to talk farming, you want to actually help farmers, you want to keep farmland, you want to protect and preserve land, you start with that waterfront down there. Have a good day.
Thank you.
All right. I was not going to speak, but when the TDR thing came up, I'm kind of going to segue on what he was saying.
Name
to
again.
me, oh, sorry, Jamie Kaiser. To me, it's really important, and I've brought this up before, as a rural landowner, that we should be allowed to have at least one seat on council. If you're making decisions about those of us that live in the rural parts of Ridgefield, we should have a voice. And I know, Mayor, you were very happy that you allowed people in the urban development area to come on to councils and committees. Those are the people that are on the cusp, and it's a very tiny, tiny percentage of all of us that live in rural Ridgefield. So I think, again, it's really important to change things so that we have a voice. I mean, at least one seat on each council, committee, et cetera, because we're important too. We're stakeholders as well. And it's our land that is being grabbed up for development, and I think we should have a choice. Some people, like the gentleman before me, seem to be a little opposed to telling you how you can restrict farmland. But I think those of us in the rural community deserve a say. So, and I support what he said. You have your chance to preserve some green space with the waterfront.
Thank you, Ms. Kaiser. Anybody else? Come on up again.
I wrote it down this time so I don't forget. So there we go. So Shauna Fisher. So first I just want to say I love that new park with the new slide. It's so fun. It's amazing, right? Like all the parks, all the trails, so great. Like it's nurturing nature that nurtures ourselves, right? But I just had a suggestion for the downtown, not the downtown area, the waterfront area. Wouldn't it be cool if we built more like family activities? Like I put in the park thing when you had the 2040 thing. Wouldn't it be cool if there was a labyrinth in downtown Ridgefield? So what if in that area where the port is, that green area, you built like a walking labyrinth? That could be a cool activity and a cool way to bring people that would still preserve the nature. And then also years ago, so my aunt lived in Sacramento, and they had this cool cement slide that you could go down. It was so much fun. So what about creating like more fun stuff like that? If you want to build stuff around the port, what about building some fun like nature activities and things like that, right? That would be amazing, right? So, and also too about ways we can support the downtown businesses and drive people down there instead of to In and Out, like drive them to Starliner and the wine bar and cool places, you know, downtown like that, right? And then my last question is, I don't know if you can answer this, when is the vote on the port plan? When are you guys doing your?
We don't have a date, and unfortunately, I mean, again, there's no back and forth at this time. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I know.
Okay.
I know.
No worries. We'll just follow the city's website, right? I'm sure it'll be on there, right? Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks for all you do. And thanks for keeping all the good walking paths and trails and the integrity of that. And if there was a way to connect some of them and really have a list of like, hey, there's this trail in this neighborhood, this trail in this neighborhood, and do more posts like that. So there you go. Thank you.
Thank you again. Is there anybody else wishing to give public comment?
Sorry, since I'm here, I might as well talk again. So there were some things that were said tonight that just made me think. I heard a couple people say growth is inevitable. And my question to that in my mind is always why. And then people said we can't stop growth and development. And my question to that is why not? And it sounds like there are many aspects to that question that I don't fully understand, and maybe I need to start going to some county and state meetings too to find out why there is such a thing as a growth mandate that you guys are required to fulfill. I said I moved here in 2020, but I didn't say where I moved from. I moved from South King County, a place called unincorporated King County when I grew up there, right outside of the cities of Kent and Renton. When I was growing up in the 80s and 90s, it looked a lot like Ridgefield, felt a lot like Ridgefield, a quiet, safe community where people could raise their children without worrying about crime, pollution, things like that. So that was one of the reasons why when I moved to Ridgefield, it felt so special to me because it reminded me of home. I moved away from home to go to college, and when I came back 8 years later, it had completely changed. A lot of low-income apartments and housing had moved in, a lot of crime had come with it, a lot of pollution, trash, completely different than the place I grew up. So the development that I've seen happen in Ridgefield that's happened since I moved here in 2020 has also reminded me a lot of home. And it's what scares me and worries me about the exponential rate of it and all the things that come with exponential growth. My friend here mentioned the trash can over by KinderCare and Les Schwab, which we have both called the city about a couple times because we walk that trail every day and we see the trash that's scattered around there now that never was before. When my parents come down here to visit me from where I grew up, Kent Renton, they always mention how they can breathe better down here, how things look greener, more colorful, brighter, because it really is different. And I hope that we can try to preserve more of that for ourselves and for future generations. Thank you.
Thank you again.
Peggy Quall again. I had mentioned that I'd been on a citizen committee a long time ago.
Can you say your name once more?
Peggy Quall.
Thank you again.
But it was so ridiculously premature, and it seems like now would be a more appropriate time to have a citizen committee. I mean, obviously, a lot of people are concerned, and I'm guessing most people who express their concerns are probably taxpayers, property tax, and so have a stake in this too. So that's just a thought that maybe need more citizen input. Also, I think it's hard to even envision when you look at just a flat plan like that. And someone talked about view sheds. I mean, with apartment buildings built out on that eastern edge, how are you going to preserve, view sheds or have site corridors when you have tall apartment buildings? It doesn't really make sense. Anyway, that's it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Marilee H. Lee. I purchased a commercial building in Ridgefield, 2002. It's a building that has a beautiful dragon boat mural on it. I started going to the city council meetings off and on. I started going to the port meetings. And I appreciate everything I'm hearing because I'm hearing people really care and they're concerned to keep Ridgefield the special place it is. And I really appreciate that. But I want to ask them also, are you one that is willing to leave? We have a mandate for growth. Our city's trying so hard to be responsible. The city does not control the port. The port has spent a fortune and worked with ecology in order to clean up a mess. If it weren't for our port and the effort they put in, that would right now, all the Lake Riverfront would be fenced up in a super fund. It was so contaminated, we came within inches of losing that, period. And before then, it was an industrial site, and no people were allowed on it. So we owe a lot to this port. In order for them to get the money to clean it up, and because they have the mandate of a port, which is to help economic development and jobs. Please come to their meetings. They will always say, how do we get more people here? There'll be like 3, 4 of us. It's been open. Come. Voice yourself. Because it's really important. We appreciate what you're saying. All of us love that area. We want to see how we can take care of it the best we can. But the information has been out there. Come to the meetings.
Thank you.
My name's Rick Renz. When I started coming to the city council meetings here a few years ago, it was strictly about the boat launch. And after the last week or so, it's kind of expanded as far as my focus on the waterfront development overall with what I've seen now and heard. And the people that have shown up tonight and spoke about the waterfront and their desire to preserve that open space, I can totally understand that it means so much to them. And it's different than the feeling that I had 3 years ago when I started coming to a few city council meetings. There was apathy. And when it comes to development throughout Ridgefield, for the most part, you're going to do what you want to do, and I'm okay with it. I just don't eat up all our farmland, but I can't stop all the subdivisions, and you have to kind of pick and choose your battles. This waterfront down here, I know there's going to be some development. That's just going to happen. But it's got to be something that the community's proud of and is in agreement with. And they are not in agreement, and they're not proud of what they saw 2 nights ago, especially when the port was presenting it. If you sign this development agreement, finalize it, and you're approving of what their port plan is, you're going to have a lot of unhappy Ridgefield residents. People that aren't here tonight that I've spoke to, they are basically leaving it up to those that spoke tonight to hopefully make an influence and a difference. And I can't say enough that those people that were here tonight, it's not a comfortable thing to speak in public for a lot of folks, and I understand that. That's where I've been. And for them to speak tonight, they overcame a lot to get up here in front and speak. And it means a lot to them, you can tell. And myself personally, I moved here to Ridgefield. I could have moved anywhere I wanted. And I chose Ridgefield because of access to the Columbia River and the recreational opportunities it presented myself, my wife, and future kids. I knew that I would be taking those kids out on the river, having a great time fishing, sunbathing, water skiing. We've done it all. And those days are pretty much behind me now, but I sure want to see it available for those future generations behind me coming forward to get out on that Columbia River, because it is special. If you've never been out there on Bachelor Island shoreline, cross the river at Warrior Rock, sandy beaches over there on the other side of the Columbia River, the Lewis River, we've got something special here that they don't have anywhere else up and down the Columbia. If you restrict us at that boat launch the way it is right now, you are doing such an injustice to the citizens of Ridgefield.
Thank you, Mr. Grenz.
I hope you guys really realize the impact you're having.
Thank you again.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Matt Haggerty for round 2. I think, I had a lot of things to say, but a lot of it was spawned from the meeting at the port. And the thing that bothered me the most was that all the port members, including Scott was the one that somewhat championed it, he said, we have a handshake deal from the environmental group and the city of Ridgefield, and we have to develop this. And I said, well, where's the proof? It was a handshake deal. I don't believe that any environmental group would have an agreement with a city entity that isn't documented. And Scott said, well, we have to do it. If there's no proof of any deal, handshake or otherwise, then what Scott said about we have to develop this is not true. It would be the same as saying, hey, I was part of that conversation. They promised me $1 million in 25 years. You know, where's my check, Mr. Port? The thing is that that comment is both ludicrous and preposterous. If they don't have proof of an agreement, that is also ludicrous and preposterous that they're even bringing it this far. They took it up to a period of 6 weeks before they've already got the bid from the developer. They've made an agreement with them. All it's left to do is sign it in 6 weeks. You guys have an incredibly important job, and that's both fiduciary for the citizens of Ridgefield and also ethical for the citizens of Ridgefield. And I sincerely hope that you guys, at the very least, put a pause on this, because, you know, it just, what I was saying earlier about transparency and impropriety, you know, somebody saying, oh, we've got to do it because it was a handshake agreement, that is, to me, ridiculous. And anyway, I think that's it. I'll have more in the next meeting, the coffee talk, but council people and Mayor, thank you for hearing us all out, and I sincerely hope you do the right thing. At the very least, like I said, put a pause on it. And the citizens...
Oh.
It's your passion.
The Citizens Advisory Group, I think, was one of the best ideas that I heard from the port. Anyway, you know, lots of things to consider. Thank you for your time.
Thank you again, Mr. Haggerty. Yeah. Yeah, check that.
All right, here we go. Thanks for letting me speak again. My name's Ruben Greer. We had some friends come from Seattle. We brought them down to the water. Sorry.
Man, shortchanged you. Yeah.
So we brought them down to the waterfront, and this is just kind of a story that really sums up Ridgefield. So we were walking them around, and you know, they just were amazed that we had this open space. And they looked at the boat launch at the life preservers that were hanging on the posts there, and they were like, "Don't people steal those?" We're like, "No, it's Ridgefield, you know." That's the kind of stuff that's going to go away. You know, the Osprey cam is going to go away. We have an opportunity for a keystone community-defining project, and we're turning it into a throne for the Port of Ridgefield to put their new headquarters in and develop it. No one is asking that. No one's going to say, let's go to the Ridgefield waterfront so we can look at the new port headquarters and some apartments. They want to go down to a place where there's community. They want to launch their boats with their family. They want to fish. They want to fly kites. They want to walk their dogs, walk the path. That's the stuff that defines this community. That's the stuff that will draw people in, not sprawl. And I will say too that design, there's no incorporation of any kind of green design or any kind of anything that would even coincide with consciousness of pollution or climate change or environmental concerns, especially next to a wildlife refuge. And I will say this, there was discussion about a handshake deal with ecology. I've been working with ecology for 20 years. I know them. There is no such thing as a handshake deal with a regulator. It is an enforcement action, it is a restrictive covenant, institutional controls. There is no handshake deal. And that was brought up, and it may have been miscommunicated, but the fact that they're using ecology for that monstrosity of a design is ludicrous. And so that's when I had to speak up, because I know them and I know how they work. Ecology anyway. Ecology would be a partner in this, for us if we work on it. And speaking to that, institutional controls. We want 75-foot buildings down there on a 2-foot cap that has a restriction. We cannot, there's a cap. We got pentachlorophenol. We've got vapors, contaminants that are seeping through the ground. Active vapor intrusion is going to be a factor in any kind of development, and we want to put high-density communities in that. Who on the city's part or on the Ridgefield's part is providing the engineering and environmental expertise to say, can we really do this, or are we relying on the port's developer? And that's about all I can say. Thanks for the time. It was nice meeting you at the yard thing. It was great. Appreciate it.
Good to meet you. Thank you, Mr. Greer. Okay, anybody else wishing to give public comment in the room? Seeing.
Thank you for listening to us all. Yeah, thank you.
Just a quick one. Tim Shaw. How do we go about me, the rest of the community, the city, get more into discussion with you guys about this?
Stick around, we'll talk after the meeting. How about that?
That'll work.
Ms. Julie, anybody online?
Not seeing anyone online, Mayor.
Okay, great. We're going to close public comment for the evening. Again, thank you, everybody, for your passion, your involvement, and your commitment to this community. Okay, we are going to move into our council and staff reports.
Can I ask you that? Can I start?
Yes, and we're going to start with Mayor Pro Tem Chipman.
Thank you. So I have a question for the city manager. Does the council actually have the authority to stop the port from doing what they're wanting to do now?
So, Mayor Pro Tem, I think there's a couple ways to answer that. So the first question that you ask is, do we have the power to stop a development? There is zoning associated with every property in Ridgefield within the city, and that zoning specifies the rights of every property owner to develop that property. If you go online to our website, you can see in the municipal code what the zoning allows and doesn't allow on every property, including the port's property. And we have a waterfront mixed-use zone that was created many years ago when Miller's Landing was the project that was being considered by the port at that time. That is the structure, the zoning structure that defines what's allowed, what legally is allowed, what rights that property owner has to develop the property. So that's one piece of the puzzle. The second piece is there's a development application that occurs with every property as it gets ready to develop. There is no application that has been filed by the port or any developer for the waterfront property. There is no application that has been filed. Thus, there is no decision being considered by staff, which is where that occurs, is council sets the zoning, sets the restrictions within that, a development application occurs, then that development application goes through a full review. The developer has to do a variety of application reviews, including traffic impact analyses, environmental impact analyses, how they meet the zoning code. That then goes to a hearings examiner. A hearings examiner is a quasi-judicial body that it's a judge that actually says, does this development proposal meet the zoning that was set forward by council? So again, to your question of what decisions do you have, your decisions lie within the zoning that is allowed in every area within the city. And then once that is set as policy, development application occurs, review occurs at the staff level, quasi-judicial review occurs from a hearings examiner who is an expert in these matters to decide whether an adequate analysis has been done. There are appeal opportunities for anybody that has a willingness or a desire to appeal that development proposal, and those appeals are heard and they actually move up through the judicial levels. So the decisions that are generally made by council are in that. Now that's one piece of it. The second piece of that is, and I'm going a little bit long on this, but it is a little complex, is that the second piece of this is if a development proposal does not specifically meet the requirements of the zoning, of the code that you have already adopted, then one of the processes that can be discussed is what's called a development agreement. A development agreement has been mentioned a couple of times this evening, several times. There is conversation about a development agreement between the port, their developer, and the city, because the developer has needs, the city has needs as a public to meet the public's needs for whatever gets proposed, and the port has needs. So the question becomes, how do you meet the code and make it, and actually go above and beyond what the code requires? You can't require someone to go above and beyond the zoning code. If they meet it, they meet it. And then they are approved by the hearings examiner. However, if they want something more, then the public gets something more. We've done that quite a bit. Someone mentioned the park with the cool slide at Paradise Point on the north side of the city. That was a development agreement. A development agreement was created with the city and the developer, where the developer said, okay, well, we have these baseline rights, but we would really like to come in the city and activate those rights. The city said, well, if you want to come in and activate those rights, you're going to give 15 acres plus the pond to the city, and you're going to build a park. And that's what they did. So the council, exercising your authority contractually with the developer, was able to push the developer to go above and beyond. And we've done that in, I can point to at least a half dozen off the top of my head, of where council has pushed a developer to go above and beyond when the developer needed something that they couldn't do within the code. If they can do it in the code, they don't need you, and they don't need a development agreement. If they can't do what's required in the code, that's when they come talk to you. So there is a development agreement that has been discussed preliminarily. There is no deadline for that. That's been mentioned several times, that there's some deadline. There is no deadline. It's a contract. A contract gets decided whenever a contract can get created and can get brought forward to all the bodies that actually have to review it. There is nothing for you to review at this time. I hope that answers your question. I'm happy to answer a little bit more for you, Councilman. And again, for anybody that's outside of the dais that has questions for me, I'm happy to stick around a little bit and answer questions for them as well.
No, I'm afraid not.
Okay, thank you. So, because my feeling is that, you know, like 50 or 60 or 70 people came here tonight thinking that the council's responsible for this, which could not be farther from the truth. And we are being blamed for what the port has put out there as their plan. And I think that the public should be aware that the council and the port are two separate entities. The port has their own board. They're a separate entity from the city. Now, everything that the city manager said is exactly how it's supposed to work and whatever, and which is why I asked him the question, so he would say that. So if you can spread the word to your friends and your neighbors and all the other people that are so unhappy with us, please do. And keep going to those port meetings and let them hear what you want to say, and make sure that they hear it.
We were under the impression that you were the governing body that could.
Sir, I really hate to do it, but we just can't have a discussion in this manner. But again, like the city manager said, we would be happy to stick around and answer some questions after that. So, Mayor Pro Tem, any other updates from you?
So for my report, for things that happened this week, that I think that going to the Civics Bee was one of the most interesting things I have done as a council member. Watching those middle school kids answer the questions, fabulous. It was just great.
Excuse me, Ms. Kaiser, could I ask you to, because Mayor Pro Tem is talking, you can go in the foyer if you need to, but thank you very much for your cooperation. Go ahead.
Anyway, watching the middle school kids and seeing how smart they were and how much they knew, and just watching watching their answers, and the whole process was just very, very rewarding, seeing how well trained they were. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Are you wanting? Okay. Councilor Hamilton, we'll go to you next.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to acknowledge that this was an emotional evening for everybody, and our lack of facial expression does not mean we didn't hear you. Right. You are being heard, and this is a very important process for you to come in and do this. This is the most people I've ever seen in a meeting. Right. And so if we don't hear from you, we don't know how you feel. So I appreciate and want to tell everyone that all of us love feedback. All of us want to hear from you. Every single one, we live in this community, obviously, and we deeply care, all of us. So I know tonight was hard for people, and I want to tell you thank you, and you are heard, and we are going to have all kinds of conversations on our end on your behalf, and I just wanted to make sure and read the room with that, because it is important and it is hard, and we hear you. I lost my train of thought on that, got a little email there myself. I want to give a shout out to the chief on announcing her retirement and the service that she has given this community for almost 4 decades. So I think that is, we appreciate everything that you've given us. And I just want to thank the city also for a wonderful spring cleanup. I know how much work that must have been, how hard it was. I had by far the easiest job of the day, so I do need to acknowledge that I was just the clicker, but I was there in spirit with all of you that were thrusting trash into receptacles. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Wells, would you like to go next?
Sure. For the audience that's left here, normally in this little book, I fill up maybe a quarter of a page during the meeting. That's something that really, this evening, I got 1, 2, 3 notes of different comments that people have made. There's no number 4. So you did spark my interest more than normal. And things were, I could see some of the concerns of the community. The other thing I did want to turn around and thank the chief too. That's a part of it, Megan. I really appreciate that. Appreciate you bringing that up. I did not have that on my list, but it should have been there. Okay, on the 16th, I attended the comp plan workshop here, and then last Saturday was our cleanup day, and it was tremendous. I really enjoyed it. We went, I hope we get a report of how many people went through it. Mr. Burkle and I were on the far end. We had the easy job, and till the cleanup started, and everybody come in the back door instead of the front door. And we talked to more people and was hoarse before the end of the day. And I don't know, I don't think the city manager, he didn't come down there, so he really doesn't know how hard we really worked. But anyway, that's it. But I've really enjoyed the meeting this evening. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. I appreciate you. Okay, Rochambeau, or you just want Counselor Davis, we'll go with you and we'll go to Counselor Bella next.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Gotta say, as a social studies teacher, it warms my heart to see people exercising their First Amendment right to petition the government. So I do appreciate it. I would echo what Counselor Hamilton shared about you. Your message definitely is coming across loud and clear. Civic Speed was awesome. 2 of those kids on stage were my students, which was really cool to see.
That's great.
They were very excited about it, and yeah, it was just really cool to see the depth of questions that they had to tackle. It was something else. So it was really cool. I did have C-Trend meeting on Tuesday evening. 2 big ticket items. They did approve the board composition that we have been working on for, let's round up and say, a year and a half. And so we are in the midst of working out what the interlocal agreements are going to be for our representation on the C-Trend board going forward. The other piece was we got an update on the interstate bridge replacement project, and a lot of focus on timelines, budgets. They did a lot of what we used to call value engineering, where they had to cut it back to save a few bucks. And so the process continues. One of the things, actually, I'll pass this on to staff because I wrote it down in my notes. They're doing what's called a progressive design build, where the design of it isn't like a fully baked cake. They don't say, this is what it's got to look like. We're going to take your bids. It was like, it's kind of got to look like this. And then when they get the, contractor on board, then they sort of design it together based on the best practices that that contractor has experienced. I thought that was really interesting. I was like, I'm sure that you guys have heard of that, but I thought that was really neat. Maybe we could do that on a much, 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 much smaller basis than that project. I guess one more thing about C-Tran. The Purple Vine is under construction, and so that's bus rapid transit that's going to start. The northern terminus is going to be WC Vancouver on the campus. It'll go past Legacy Salmon Creek and kind of weave its way down, then go all the way down Highway 99 and end at the Vancouver waterfront. They said that that would be a roughly 40-minute bus ride, which I think, it's hard to park down there. And so hopefully that becomes a resource for some of the people in Ridgefield. I think it's pretty cool. Spring cleanup. Last night, I guess, I did a community connection open house with Jake Breadstand from the Ridgefield School Board over at Little Conejo. And since I am such a fan of chips and salsa, Councilor Favela and I will be there on Wednesday next week. So that's what I got. Appreciate it.
Great, thanks, Councilor. Councilor Favela.
Thank you. I feel like I have a lot and I want to talk fast, but not too fast. First, Chief, you're amazing. I'm not going to say all the things because y'all know I like to cry, and I'm not going to cry tonight. You're going to still be here, so it's not goodbye. It's just see you around. You know how much I love you and how much you have done for this community. You are incredible. And what a powerhouse of a woman to be a whole ass chief of police. So thank you. I have spent this week in Washington, D.C. with City Manager Mr. Stewart and Mr. Mayor. So I'll talk about a couple of things that what we were working on, and I'll let Mayor talk about the rest so I don't eat up all the time with that. The purpose of this trip going to Washington, D.C. is really looking at the growth that Ridgefield has and funding opportunities that we can get federally, and having also our state representatives really advocate for Ridgefield. So when you go there in person, you can advocate and bring and talk about this special place of Ridgefield that we have and why it's important for us, important for them to pay attention to us and help us out. So one of the projects we talked about was the Division Street multimodal crossing. When we put in the overpass, the only at-grade entrance into the waterfront was closed, so we only have the overpass. So this would allow a secondary entrance into that is at grade, that is more accessible. We also spoke about the bridge replacement at Abrams Park. Abrams Park has 10 wells that feed the city of Ridgefield's water. That bridge is failing right now. It is at a weight capacity. If an emergency happens, we cannot get a fire truck over that bridge. That is why a fire truck does not attend National Night Out. It's really important that we get help getting that bridge replaced. We met with Department of Justice, the COPS office. That is not, just to say COPS, that's the Community-Oriented Policing Services office. Talk about fundings and grant opportunities for our police department. How do we ensure that we're growing our department and supporting our officers as we grow to make sure that our city does remain safe? We also met with Department of Fish and Wildlife to advocate for staffing at the beautiful facility that you see at the refuge. How do we get that staffed so that investment can be used to its full potential? The meetings went really well. It was great. I've never been to Washington, D.C. before, so I was just doing wild things. I rode an electric scooter for the first time in my life, downtown Seattle, and I got on a subway. That was wild. Yes, I know you heard it all here on record. But yeah, it was a great time, and and garbage cleanup. it was great. We threw away a lot of trash, and I learned that Chief can spin a basketball on her finger. There.
Great, thank you, Counselor. Real quick.
So I do want to thank you all for coming and every person that spoke. I mean, because I had not heard any of these reactions before at all. And so I do really appreciate that you came and spoke to us tonight. And like Councilor Hamilton said, the person that said that we looked like we weren't interested, believe me, it's hard to keep your face calm up here when you're listening to everybody because, you know, people we want to react, but we can't, and we can't talk back to you. But anyway, thank you for coming and letting us hear all of your concerns.
Great, thank you, counselors, for your updates. I'll try and go fast as well. I have a couple of things I just want to talk about. First and foremost, just to, again, echo Mayor Pro Tem and the rest of my colleagues up here, and thank you all for coming tonight. I say it frequently, and I really do mean it. Like, this is a community that shows up every time, whether it be a first Saturday or it be public comment or any other time when we have something, you know, you all show up and you do it with such care and sincerity, and I really do appreciate that. And while it often can be under circumstances of concern or, you know, that are not favorable to you, or it's a very emotional thing, we totally get it. And so for all of your sincerity, I just want to say that sincerity is also shared here on the dais as well as with our staff. You know, I think these are all people, and I'm really encouraged that we all care so much about our community that we would spend the time on a Thursday evening when you could be doing a multitude of other things, and you came to a city council meeting and listened to comment after comment and applause after applause for one another. That's what makes healthy communities. Not agreement or disagreement. It's just showing up and being committed to the process. So I'm proud to be a resident alongside you guys all, because it really is an important part of the process. And so thank you. And to that end, I will say this too. I had a brief conversation with Commissioner Melroy this morning as he served pancakes and bacon for almost 50 young people who are children of our city staff, and he did that by getting there just shortly after 6 o'clock this morning and was grilling and cooking for everybody out of the goodness of his heart. And in talking to him, I will say also that I do appreciate the sincerity that, you know, whatever is driving their decisions, that they're trying to do the very best they can for this community as well. So it's an important thing. To Councilor Favela's remarks earlier, we did just get back from Washington, D.C. last night. We do go out usually every single year and spend some time meeting with our congressional representatives and their staffs, as well as different agency partners, and advocating for our federal legislative agenda. And I cannot tell you how much ROI there is in a trip like that when we go there. And what we hear from our state delegation, from our congressional delegation frequently, is that Ridgefield does such a good job in our advocacy and our planning and what we do to make sure that we get secure funding for all of the things that we need here to run a city that is growing like ours. We cannot do it on our own. Oftentimes what you hear from people is you say, oh, you're growing, you must not have any problem, you must have all the resources you need. It's not true. We're still a small city, and we still have a lot of big needs. And, you know, just run through them real quick. They're all related to infrastructure usually. So 11th Street overpass, you know, that's the ones just south of exit 14, right there as Tim Road comes out. That's one that we've been advocating for with our congressional representatives. We need $3 million for a $25 million project that would help connect the two sides of our town. As you all know, we have one overpass right through our town, and it does get congested because we are growing, and we do have to mitigate that growth. And so that links the two industrial sides of a town. It links to access between the west side of town and the new Clark College campus, and bridges those two sides of our community together. I think it's a vital project. Councilor Favela talked about the Abrams Park Road Bridge. That's another important one. Another big one that you will probably hear more about in the coming weeks and months will be the South I-5 access. If you ever drive down I-5 South and there's the battleground exit right there, there is plans to look at that, to explore ways that we can connect that so that our residents have another way in and out of town, connected from Hillhurst and going and connecting to that interchange as well. So that's something we've done. We've been successful. We have the Kennedy well that we secured $1.5 million through congressionally directed spending for last year. That was much to the thanks of Congresswoman Marie Glusenkamp-Perez. She really went to bat for us on that. And so that is something that does have ROI on it. Also, there is the South Royal Road with the last part of Royal Road where it kind of dips down and it's the last part that's unfinished. That is something that Senator Patty Murray, who worked really hard to get us funding for that as well. So we are going to be able to move into the next phase of that project soon as well. So those are things that are really important to all of you as residents that we get to go do on your behalf. And it takes quite a bit of effort on the state level, on the federal level, and it's always a great trip. So really glad to be able to participate in that. Real quick, spring cleanup, we did that last week. That's always great. This morning, like we said, it was Take Your Kid to Work Day all across the county. Different jurisdictions were doing that. We got to do that here. Again, almost 50 kids were there. I got to bring my 10-year-old and do it, got to do the whole day. I had one kid in particular, we went to City Hall, and he said he's going to challenge me for mayor, so I have some opposition, I guess, in the next election. He's really serious about it. And when we found out that one of the playground pieces was not functioning earlier today at Abrams Park, he said, "See?" He pointed his finger. He said, "See?" And it's because somebody said the mayor can't get it done. And so he said, well, he'll get it done. So there's already campaign promises from 10-year-olds. So, but yes, it was a great day to do that. And then lastly, Chief, I know that we're going to have plenty of time to do that, but I just, words are not enough right now, and I'm not going to waste them all right now, but I do want to say that there are fewer people in this community who I revere more than you and the legacy that you will leave behind here. So an early thank you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your dedication for, nearly 40 years of service to this community. It's proud. I'm honored to know you. So thank you very much. Yeah, with that, that's it for me. I'll turn, real quick, April 29th, council chat. May 16th will be a council chat, and June 3rd will be the next council chat. Those are all, there's a link to that on the front page of the city website. If you were curious, you want to engage with us, we would love to see you and have this conversation continued there. So please check that out, and we hope to see you there. And with that, City Manager, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council and the community. Just a few other things to add. First of all, thank you, Mayor, for joining us for Take Your Kids to Work Day. It was amazing to see so many young people with so many great employees of this city who give a lot every day to make sure that this is a great place to live, work, and play. So many thanks to our employees who put that all together, and all their kids that were running around and grandkids that were running around and having a great time. But thank you for your involvement in that. Secondly, the question was asked for our cleanup day, what were the numbers on it? While we do not have the tonnage yet from Waste Connections, what we can tell you is in 2025, the clicker clicked 382 vehicles. This year, we served 452 vehicles from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. and that I was there actually from 8 a.m. to about 1:30, so I'm not sure, I saw you like 14 times, Councilor Wells, so I'm not sure why you didn't see me, but I put a lot of steps in that day. I got a lot of steps into your end, just trying to get you to do your job. All right, so we did 452 vehicles. Clark County had 357 vehicles come through household hazardous waste, and then Neighbors Helping Neighbors collected 945 pounds of food along with $260 in cash donations. So great stuff for Neighbors Helping Neighbors. Yeah, that was good stuff. A few events, you'd already mentioned them just as far as people coming out and being involved. It was mentioned earlier, the county council is having public hearings on their preferred alternative for the 20-year growth update. It is their decision to make as to where we grow, how we grow. Once it comes into the boundary, it is the city council's purview to decide how we do from there. The county's plan would have us densifying every one of the neighborhoods in our existing boundary, period. The city council's vision as per the city population is to preserve the integrity of our existing neighborhoods and target the growth that we're required to take in areas that make sense. So that's the difference. That is the clear difference that will be discussed on the 27th, on Monday at 4 p.m., at 10 a.m. on Tuesday, and they will be making a determination as to what the county council's preferred alternative is for our city and the other cities around the county at that time. time. The other event I wanted to make note of is a fun one, and that is on the 3rd of May at 1 p.m. will be the ribbon cutting for the Community and Nature Center, the beautiful facility at our National Wildlife Refuge. You talked about the ROI for those trips to DC. It was about a decade ago that our city council went to Washington, DC, stating that a new administrative building and visitor center was a top priority for the region, as we were in single wide trailers out there trying to serve 150,000 kids every year. The people at the national level said, you are not on any list anywhere. You are not a priority because you haven't even started your design. That started a decade-long process that the city council went back every year, banging the drum to get funds to get the work done, worked with the local refuge system, got the design done, got over $10 million from the federal government with a $15 million nationwide capital budget on an annual basis. We're able to get $10 million to put to the administrative office and the community nature center that are now completed. So it took a decade of getting back there and getting in their faces to get it done, but it's done. And on the 3rd at 1 p.m., they'll be cutting the ribbon on that and enjoying the opportunities that come along with that to connect people with the nature that is truly part of who we are. With that, I am happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Council, any questions for the city manager? Councilor Ravella.
Mr. Stewart, about a year ago, I believe it was, give or take, the port had come to a council meeting to do like a preliminary design of some concepts. And I won't speak for anybody else, but I know I had some strong questions and some feelings about what we were seeing, and they never came back. So do we know if that's on the agenda? Do we know when the port is going to share this idea that they're sharing with the community, when we will get to see it?
It is not something I have exact dates for as far as the concept plan, the development concept plans. I know that obviously there was conversation a couple of nights ago. I honestly am not sure. We were in DC. I'm not sure exactly what plans were shared on that. As I said, there is no development application that's been filed, but as far as concept plans, I can certainly reach out to port staff and figure out where are they on the development proposals and the concepts that would be wrapped into a development application. And if it is, if it is the city council's will, I can certainly work with them to get a work session together on that. I'm looking at all of you on that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm happy to work on that.
Okay.
Of course.
Great. Any other questions for the city manager? All right, thank you, everybody. Thank you, sir. And with that, we'll go to Public Works. Mr. Thamert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Last week, the Public Works Department was, or received an award for the Pioneer Widening Project for Project of the Year for the $5 million to $25 million category. It was an exciting night at the award ceremony, and I got to watch our project team receive the award. And as I was sitting there, I was thinking about all of the time and energy that our staff put into the project. But I was also thinking about the council and the community and how much money the community put towards the project, but also the patience that the community put towards the project and all the wait times and delays. And it was just great to see all of our peers at the American Public Works Association also recognize the project and the success that the city of Ridgefield had during the project.
Wonderful. You guys got to quit all the winning, though, because every week you come back with another award. Somebody does, and I can't keep track of them all, so congratulations.
Kirk's going to get jealous. He's not the most recent.
I was going to say, I got to keep up with finance.
For sure. Hey, speaking of finance, Mr. Johnson, we'll go over to you next.
Just a quick reminder of the best upcoming event. Next Tuesday will be the audit entrance conference. We have heard from a couple of the council members who might be able to attend. Please let us know whether you can or cannot attend so we can get the link out to you.
Thank you. Do appreciate it. Any questions for the finance director? Okay. Community development, Ms. Lust.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have anything to report this evening, but happy to take questions.
Great. Council, any questions for Ms. Lust? All right, thank you. Ms. Notnaris, our Deputy City Manager.
Just a quick reminder that May First Saturday is coming up. It is the 11th anniversary of First Saturdays. And since she's here, I want to recognize Peggy Quall as one of the 5 founding organizers of First Saturdays. And there's more. Wait a minute, there's more. She designed our logo that we are still using after 11 years. So thanks you so much for everything that you did to help make this happen.
That was a fun committee.
Yeah, yes, it was.
Pretty cool. Oh, great.
But anyway, May 1st, Saturday, it is our spring festival. We will have vendors for the first time in the year at Davis Park. The Garden Club will have their plant sale back in the Greeley building, so they will be downtown. And Overlook Park will be full of entertainment on the stage and lots of kids' activities. And, oh, Splash Pad, I was saving that for last. I'm not last. So we'll have lots of other stuff going on, art shows, a Kentucky Derby party, a comedy night, and the Splash Pad will be open. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Right, Chief Doriot.
Wow, it's hard to follow the splash pad. First of all, thank you for the kind words. You all know I'm a crier too, so we're not going to go there. But I did want to just let you know and make you aware that tomorrow there is going to be a evacuation reunification drill by the school district, which is going to involve the Ridgefield School District up at the high school, but also the Clark County Sheriff's Department, the Ridgefield Police Department, Emergency Services. So you're going to see some activity. We're going to be having students evacuate from the high school out to the Seventh-day Adventist, which is going to be the reunification site. So if you see all that, please be aware that it is a drill. It is only a drill, and that's hopefully to build our skills so that if the need ever arises, we have practiced some community coordination with all the emergency services. So thank you. That's all I have to ask. Thank you.
Great. Any questions for the Chief, Council? Okay. All right. Thank you again, everybody. Thank you, staff, for all of your hard work. Thank you, Council, for being present and staying locked in all the evening. And with that, this meeting is adjourned.